Meadows. It's fantastic to have your company this Sunday afternoon. He's always one to watch, but it's going to be very interesting indeed to see how Chris Goulding goes today. The sharpshooter has missed 21 shots in a row. How will he respond? Let's find out. Your commentators for this one, John Casey, Andrew Gaze and Pete Hooley.
Thanks very much, Nerily. Yes, really looking forward to this clash. The top of the table position has been a poison chalice of late. It's affected Perth, it's affected the Phoenix. Can Melbourne get the job done against a Tasmanian team that has won its last 3 games and 4 of its last 6?
Well, that's right. And for Melbourne United, I think they're still in a very good position. It was a tough one against the Adelaide 36ers. And I don't think Melbourne United again this season will shoot 13% out 4 of 30 from the three-point line. That is well below what they're capable of doing, and it was just one of those games. Full credit to the Adelaide 36ers, but it's not going to be easy against the JackJumpers. The JackJumpers play some of the best defense. They're that scrappy, in-your-grill type team, one of those annoying teams to play against, and shooters, they usually like a little bit of space and a little bit of freedom in order to get themselves going. So it's going to be a genuine test for Melbourne United this afternoon.
Well, they've had a long time to think about that game against Adelaide 36ers, and if anyone knows Dean Vickerman, that training wouldn't have been fun because you're counting down. Yes, you're playing at home, but you got to bounce back. They thought they still should have won that game, even missing all those shots. Let's see how they bounce back here.
Well, let's get to some reaction pre-game with Caleb Agata, who spoke a little earlier with Nerily Meadows.
Caleb, thanks so much for your time. Coming off the loss to Adelaide, what were the conversations to make sure that you bounce back here?
Just understand that it was a long road trip. Obviously, we don't want to make any excuses, but we're glad with how it all went down. We felt that we could have obviously won the game, but we're still happy with how we dealt with the 7-game road streak, and we're just here to just hopefully win at home.
I know you're a big fan of Chris Goulding. He's having a little bit of a rough patch as far as not getting those shots in. How confident are you that he'll bounce back?
Man, there's nothing. This is what he does. He's going to bounce back. Like, you guys just be prepared. It's about to be fun tonight.
That sounds like fun to me. What about yourself personally? Are you a little bit quieter in recent weeks? Are you taking on a bit of a different role, or is that just the way that it happens?
It's just the way that it happens. Obviously, playing on a team as high level as Melbourne, like, you're going to have to make some personal sacrifices. So I'm just trying to do whatever the team needs for us to win. So
appreciate your time. Good luck today.
No worries.
Well, Caleb Agata and Joe Luala-Chul are going to feature in the DoorDash starting 5 for Melbourne United. You're hungry? We'll fire up DoorDash and order your game day essentials now.
Yeah, the big fella match up against Will Magnay is going to be fun, but Dave Barlow into the starting lineup because Jack White and Ariel Hook-Porty both out in COVID protocols. So hopefully they're all right when we see them soon because they've been outstanding this year. But Joe Luala-Chul, this is going to be a really fun matchup. Looking forward to this. He's one of the best big fellas in the competition. He just keeps rising from game to game, week to week. But Will Magnay's starting to play some very, very good basketball.
It is. Will Magnay, he has been impressive the last few games. A little slow start to the season, but you look at the numbers and they're clearly in favour of Joe Luala-Chul. But Will Magnay has been great at protecting the rim throughout his entire career, but the last few games he's looked super impressive. So looking forward to this one here, and it's not just about how Magnay needs to defend Luala-Chul. Magnay's starting to get his offense going as well, so Luala-Chul's got his work cut out down the other end.
And for the Tasmanian JackJumpers, well, good to see Josh Adams is in the lineup. He was a game day decision if he was going to play or not, but the DoorDash starting 5 has become a regular for what we've seen from Tasmania.
Well, it has. Since they've included Matt Kenny into the starting lineup instead of Sam McDaniel, they've been winning games. So don't change it if it's working. And again, just different lines here and there. And Jack McVeigh started to come on. He's been impressive. But Will Magnay, he's the one who's been leading the charge. We've seen him smiling once again. He's having some fun out there. The defense is leading to the offense. That's what he does well. Shooting the 3-ball with confidence. Not going to take 3 or 4 a game, but right there, if you disrespect him, he's going to let it fly. And that's what he needs to do because he can knock it down. Pick and roll guy, having fun out there. That's the Will Magnay we love to see.
Well, it was, and his minutes were well down early on as well. I think that was about him getting in game shape and figuring out the system, and it's a very structured system that Tasmania run on the offensive end. They get into a lot of on-balls, but they do go through a little bit more continuity in the half court than some of these other teams, and it's, to me, what's impressed me the most is the way they're up and in. what they're doing strategically on the defensive end. Scott Roth has done an outstanding job of finding the balance at both ends of the floor with the Jack Jumpers.
And there's highlight early, Chris Golding missing his last 21 shots. How long do you think it'll take?
21 shots.
That goes back to the Brisbane game where he missed the last 7 in that one, and obviously 14 against Adelaide. I don't think it'll take too long for him to get one up here.
6 quarters, Case, without a field goal.
I think his first one lands. Melbourne with the possession arrow to get us underway. Koala Chul dancing into the paint, and despite a good contest, comes up with the opening score.
I went with the little big screen because, again, I'm sure the Jack Jumpers are thinking they're going to run something for Golding as well. So he goes to set the screen on the big guy, not the other way around. They get confused with it. Good little finish to start for Melbourne United.
Chance now for Magnay at the other end, just bounding into the paint. Little lap of honour, and did it twice and fell.
We spoke about the matchup pre-game, and both coaches, I think, figured that this could be a big one. So both coaches' first play go to that matchup to see how it could unfold and whether or not there might be an advantage one way or the other.
Koala Chul spins baseline. Magnay talked him out of it, though. Now Josh Adams feeds Kenyon. Been impressive, worked his way into the starting lineup when these teams met back on New Year's Day. Sam McDaniel was in the starting lineup, and so was Jared Bairstow. But Tassie on top early.
Well, Jack McVeigh, I mean, he struggled early in the season trying to score the ball. Couldn't shoot for a while. In the last 2 games, he scored 17 in both of them. Averaged 6 rebounds, but he's been 50% from the 3. So when he's knocking that down, he's starting to feel good. He's the Energizer Bunny of the NBL, and the Jack Jumpers are happy to see him knocking down some shots finally.
He scored the last 4 here, Tasmania.
Black 7.
Not sure.
Early foul's been called here on Caleb Agard, who has had foul problems of late.
Not sure whether it's by design, but Koala Chul, first 3 field goal attempts are going his way. There we see the foul, just trying to hook his way around Magnay, and 3 straight games of less than 10 points for Caleb Agard. And this is a guy that was averaging 19.
Good defence there from Agard. Deflected the shot. It came to Magnay. Couldn't finish it from close range, though. He does, Jack McVeigh, and they've scored the last 6 here. The Jack Jumpers, and lead by 4. Go to Barlow, who's off the mark. Comes to Agard. Wants to go solo. It was a good option.
Without White and Porty. A lot's going to be asked of Dave Barlow in this one, who minutes are well down, plays a very specific role, but great to have an experienced vet like him on your list to step up in moments like this where your personnel is down for one reason or another.
He's averaging just the 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Gives a chance for Majet. He got a good look at it, and he knocks down the first 3 of the game. Give the Jack Jumpers a 5-point buffer at the moment. Just delivered over, exploring, and chance at a 3-point play at the other end.
Nice work by Delhi. He's one that's now, I think, figured it out. There's Majet. And in fact, the past 2 games, Majet has been on fire. He's been looking for his shot. He's looked a whole lot more comfortable out on the floor.
He's been looking for his shot in the right way. We keep highlighting every time the Jack Jumpers play, but early on in the season, both him and Josh Adams did a lot of one-on-one contested shooting. They weren't making it at a high clip, and Tasmania was struggling to win those games. So now their shot selection's a lot better, and good things are happening.
Enterprising start from the Jack Jumpers. 4 of 6 from the field, 1 of 2 from deep. Lead the rebound count 4-1 in United's first home game in 7 weeks. December 19. It's their last appearance at home. Adams fires and he connects.
Knockdown from Josh Adams, over 15 points a game. He's actually only shooting the 3 just under 20%. So when he gets to the free throw line, it's when he can be really successful. Delhi answers back, a little floater off the glass, and comes up a bit ginger.
He just may have rolled the ankle there. Just keep an eye on that.
Tweak at best case.
Yep,
Little tweak.
just a little tweak.
Veteran like him, shake that off, no problems.
Magnay needs Majet. Harassed by Agard. Not a lot on offer. Josh Adams is available, though, and he's always a good option from deep. Knocks down his second 3 of the game. JackJumpers have hit 3 triples already. They lead by 6.
Good start from the JackJumpers. Energy, they played a lot of home games, and that's where their crowd gets involved with the style of basketball they've been playing. High energy on both ends. That's all you have to do when you go on the road. Melbourne United's first home game in a while, and they've started on fire.
Well, it is, and both these teams are really hard to score against. United hold their opponents to 75 points at 28% from long range, so good start by the JackJumpers. Let's listen to Dino.
Be better in this one in the 3-ball that we allow there. You get smacked and you need to hustle it. Make them have to drive through the line. All right? We're in mush action right here. All right? And we trust these two. If you've got a shooter, you got to be able to recover and make sure you run him off the 3 and there's no catch and shoots for those lead guys. No unders coming downhill. Stay attached and push them downhill. I don't get any 3s off that. All right? We've been solid down this end. All right? Moving the basketball. Make sure when we got post-ups that there's good cutters to the rim. If they're going to come double at any time, make sure we fill this area and we fill this area on the baseline. Give me a shakes up.
Dean Vickerman just trying to settle down the troops, but spoke about Delhi. You called it a tweak, Gazy. Subbed out of the game here, I believe. Just landed a little awkwardly. Well, now you can see he wasn't feeling too comfortable, and it doesn't look like he was stepped on with Jet's foot or anything.
I don't think it's the ankle.
This might be a little tweak, and he sat down and...
Nah, good to go.
Whether that's just a precaution thing, or maybe he's not happy with the fact that Josh Adams has knocked down 2 threes and Dean Vickerman holding everybody accountable.
Nerily Meadows will be all over that, and he won't escape her clutches. She'll have some information for us as soon as it's available. And on cue, Chris Golding breaks the drought. 121 misses.
One of the greatest we've ever seen at shooting the basketball, and plenty of self-confidence. But trust me, in his belly and in his head, don't read or disregard anything he or anyone said. He is relieved right now that he's seen one go in after 6 quarters.
There's JLA in the lanes. This will be a nice little 2. As easy as you like. And Gazy, you spoke about a little... Have you ever had a game where you didn't hit a field goal?
Maybe got hurt early in one.
That is in 2002 in Townsville. Gazy got hurt, was 0-0, and then in his comeback game versus the Titans, played 15 minutes, was 0-3. Wow. And that Townsville game ended a streak of 512 games since his debut, where he scored less than 12 points.
Shouldn't have come back in that game. It just heart the size of Farlap. Just said, I need to be there for the fellas, and just had to power through. It gave him 15 solid, quality minutes.
I'm more impressed with the 512 consecutive games with more than 12 points.
How many?
He could
512.
get it done.
Until that injury in Townsville.
Hey, we spoke about the defence that Melbourne United played. Tasmania, no slouches at all, holding teams to 76 at 26% from the 3-point line. So we've got 2 teams that statistically, they D it up.
It's a credit to the JackJumpers. They've been able to do that, and they did it to Melbourne when they played back in round 5 as well.
Dean Vickerman screaming like a wild banshee on the sidelines, just for no reason at all. I couldn't figure out what he was...
There's Adams, who's leading a merry dance at the moment. He's got 8 points in the game on 3 or 4 shooting.
In that timeout, you hear Dean Vickerman yelling, mush, mush. That's the way they like to play defense. And Josh Adams just circled right around, basically the way they were exactly guarding it, and walked into a mid-range 2. And when he's feeling good, it's a layup for Josh Adams.
Here's Jack McVeigh firing over the top of Pete Ling, who grabs the rebound. Shea Illy with it now. Middle stages of this opening quarter. Tassie by 3. After Melbourne scored the first 2 points of the game. Marlon Jewell helped himself to 3 more. He's got 7 of Melbourne's 17.
Well, there's 11 field goal attempts. Lawala Chula's taken 6 of them. And there's going to be a foul on Chris Golding. He doesn't like it. Just while we have this little pause, just talk us through the mush defence. Bulls? Terminology for a type of defence. There we have a look at the replay, and that's a foul. Arms come down, across the arms. Not sure. There's a lot of carry on going on.
Well, the mush, it's going to turn, whether it's the drops or the mush, the way you like to play. Certain guys are going to be able to expose it the way Josh Adams, and it puts a lot of onus on the guards to try and fight over the screen, to not have to just rely on the big when he's just standing off, it's not going to be a hard hedge. Certain guys like to be
like
at the level. It's like a drops. But again, Dean Vickerman saying it works. Melbourne United have been the best defensive team in the league because of the likes of Delhi leading the charge, Shea Ili. The way it's so hard to screen them because they fight over it. And really, if you're a big defending a ball screen and you've got the guards doing that, as Chris Golding tries to do a little heat check, and why not? But it can be really successful if you've got the guards like Shaylee and Delhi who get up and in and just really refuse to get screened.
Tied away at 19. Took over 4 minutes out from quarter time. Majet off the mark. Yuli the rebound. Now Shea Ili. Golding and Lachul. While Lachul, the only starters out on the floor at the moment for Melbourne. He wants to take on Jack McVeigh. Couldn't finish it there. And Sam McDaniel, championship winner United, is on the floor for the first time and exploring. Majet picks up the dribble. Here's McVeigh. Now they get it down low. Magnay working on Peatling, who's playing game number 50 in the NBL and can't prevent Magnay from getting it done.
Really good size advantage. He recognised that. And although Peatling's pretty big himself, but just powered and bullied his way into the basket. Nice touch.
Lachul thought he was fouled, couldn't get a whistle. And a chance now for Tasmania to extend the advantage. McDaniel. Whistle off the ball. Foul going to be called on Chris Golding. He's not happy. Second personal on him. He's angry, and we go to Nerily Meadows.
Just keeping an eye on Matthew Dellavedova, guys, after he tweaked what we believe is an ankle, and Chris Golding is still not happy at all here. But Delhi just took a standing role behind the bench for a while, but never got any treatment. And it looks like he's coming straight back on here for Chris Golding. So that is great news for Melbourne United. No big concerns over Delhi.
The Dr. Gay's in the house again.
Chris Golding upset, off the ball foul. That's his second.
13th foul on Melbourne in this quarter as we count down the last 3 minutes of term number 1. Krislovic fires, opening shot is all the bottom of the net.
He's been knocking those down last few games on their winning streak as well. Stepping in, if you don't respect it, he'll make you pay. But here we go with the depth of Melbourne United being tested without Hook Porty and Jack White. Quera's into the game with Mason Peatling in the front court.
There's Dellavedova as the only starter on the floor for Melbourne at the moment. They're getting good contributions. So 5 scorers for Melbourne so far. In traffic with problems, McIntosh somehow created the shot off glass to open his scoring account.
Well, it's no surprise we talk about how these are the two of the hardest teams to score on in the league, and they're both giving each other some buckets at ease. It's open this quarter.
So you can see the intensity of both these teams at either end of the floor. And Melbourne United just getting the rim. There's looked like a lot of contact on that one. Foul called. 26 points. We see this a bit with Melbourne United in the first quarter. Sometimes it takes them a little while just to figure out what they need to do. And 26 points is way more than what Dean Vickerman would like to see in a quarter.
Single digits on the shot clock for Dellavedova. Not a lot on offer. Works the ball outside. Nearly off the mark. Steindl the rebound. Now McIntosh. The usual ball carrier, but doing it competently at the moment.
That is the walkies.
Most bit off more than he could chew, given the benefit of the doubt, though. Steindl fires a quick release 3. They've hit 5 triples here in the first quarter at 71%.
That's not going to make Dean Vickerman very happy, I know. It was deep from Clint Steindl, but hands down from Lachul. Clint Steindl shoots the ball as well as anybody in the league.
Steindl not renowned for his defense, but he moves his feet that time, gets in front of Matthew Dellavedova, and another turnover via the offensive foul. Here's Steindl. Hands are just down. You've got to be in touch distance. I know he's a long way out, and there you see the sliding of the feet, and Delhi gets called for the charge. Lachul. Clint Steindl, that's what he's there for. Need to be a little bit more ball pressure than what we saw that last time.
Full of confidence, the JackJumpers won their last 3 games, 4 of their last 6. They've now scored more first quarter points than any other team this season against United, and they're up to 31 and counting.
McIntosh has come out ultra aggressive, putting the moves on the young fella Aquera.
12 of 16 from the field.
It's been impressive. Melbourne have got some work to do here as Agata comes up with the finishing touches inside the last 60 seconds of this opening quarter.
JackJumpers had 14 threes against New Zealand in that big win, and then 12 the other night against the Kings.
Well, they want the continuation here. And it looks as though they're going to get it the way that Steindl's reacted.
Certain players thrive on playing in John Cain Arena opposition teams, and Colin McIntosh seems to be one of them because he's come out and having some fun out there.
Well, I'm saying the entire JackJumpers in this first quarter is any evidence. 13 of 17 from the field, 5 of 7 from the three-point line, and only the 2 turnovers.
Back up Michael and other opposition players coming in. Remember, Kevin White has had a lot of success on this floor, coming in, shooting the ball, and Jason Kadee he loves coming to play against Melbourne United at John Cain Arena, so Colin McIntosh trying to put his name in that list.
Lalatul with it, working on Krislovic. He's called for the foul. Going to be the 13th foul on Tasmania. Krislovic has his first personal. 34 for Tasmania. The highest scoring quarter in the NBL this season is 35 by the Phoenix. And that was in a first quarter. This is next best.
But look who it's against as well. It's against a team that's holding teams in the 70s.
Woefully short from Lalatul, who's taken 9 of Melbourne's 18 shots. He's been the focus. Shot clock is going to be 8 seconds inside the game clock, with a chance for Tasmania to come up with the highest scoring quarter we've seen in NBL this season. McIntosh, 7 points already on 3 of 3 shooting. He's confident, and that's why. Highest scoring quarter in the NBL this season. Against the best defensive team. What a start from the JackJumpers. Fans be going crazy. In the Apple Isle at the moment, a dominant first term. They're chasing a 4th straight win. Melbourne have got problems. Dean Fickerman's not happy. It's Tasmania 36, Melbourne 23. Stay with us here on Sunday Hoops. Melbourne United scored the first points of the game, but after that, the Tasmanian JackJumpers put on a show. Koala Chul with his 7 points, but it's 36 for Tasmania, who scored more points. It's the highest first quarter score by any team ever against Melbourne United in 240 games. Tonight's winner of the $50 Kmart gift card is Talia Squires. As you can see there, 8-week old, enjoying second game next to the championship trophy. And thanks to Kmart for their wonderful support, $50 Kmart gift card. Involved, and Tasmania at 36-23. This has been exciting to watch, impressive indeed. 78% from the field, 14 of 18 is the field goal line, and they're getting offensive boards. McDaniel on that occasion. Here's Weeks. He wants to join the party, takes the bump, can't convert.
Well, it's 10-3, the rebound count in favour of the JackJumpers. So on those hustle plays with the field goal percentages and all areas, JackJumpers have come out looking sharp in this one.
8 scorers in the opening quarter from Tasmania. I'm sure Dean Vickerman had plenty on his plate in Early Meadows.
He certainly did. It was the leaders, Chris Golding and Matthew Dellavedova, taking charge. But the moment that Dean Vickerman stepped in, he challenged his men. Words to the effect of, they've got 36 on our court. How do we feel about that? Really eyeballing a lot of his men on the bench, and he's even frustrated as we speak about him now. He called for better energy from his troops and finished the address with, come on!
Well, sometimes it's really easy just to point the finger at the defence, but I think that discredits a lot of the work that the JackJumpers were doing as well. They were executing well, getting through their sets, helping each other out, moving the ball.
Good. Kristovic hands over. Steindl fires off the mark. Koala Chul grabs the rebound. It's his second of the game. It's the first player with multiple rebounds for Melbourne. And there are 3 players in Tasmania who can boast that. Agata couldn't finish it. McIntosh getting in over the back there, giving away the foul. And that's going to be his first personal.
Well, McIntosh, his season so far has been modest at best. He's only been averaging the 5 points a game at 25% from the field, playing 15 minutes a game. He's come out in this one. And Hulls, you've put it down just to sometimes it's the environment and the floor, but he's 4 of 5 from the field. He's got 9 points in that first quarter.
United 2 of 7 from deep at 29%. As Weeks hands over. Pass from Steindl, intended for Kristovic, knocked down, taken away. Dellavedova has support running with him. Agata shut down.
There's McIntosh on the defensive end, making things happen.
And now at the other end of the floor, bounces into Barlow, draws a foul, couldn't get a user-friendly roll.
Well, there's a question whether it was a travel or a foul. The referees, one of the officials had a travel.
We got 20 for a block shooting.
There's McIntosh's block, and there it wasn't a travel.
It was a gather step.
Good call.
Well, I think he might have been looking because Dave Barlow's saying he copped an elbow to the chin.
Can't review calls if you want to, like.
That's what I'm talking about. Delhi's saying the way he went with tried to go with the Euro, get the ball in a bit of a round the world. Might have copped him with the elbow. Then goes to the free throw line and he's in the double figures.
One shot, one.
Well, full credit to the Tasmania JackJumpers. And big shout out to all their fans in Tassie as well. Their game night experience, I think per capita, they've got the best crowds, certainly in the competition this season. And they make some noise, they bring it all the time, and their team is rewarding them as well. Won 4 of their last 6, haven't won on the mainland as yet, but right now they're looking strong. They've scored the last 7 points here, bracketed across quarter time. Margin is game high 15, and Melbourne need more of that. So Golding now with 7 points on 3 of 3 shooting after missing 21 shots in a row. The answering 2 is from Sam McDaniel. Koala Chul. Agata. Golding ready to go once more. First miss of the game. Long rebound spills to Barlow. They can reset, and Dellavedova pulls the trigger on 3. It's off the mark. McIntosh. Like an offensive foul. Dellavedova just making things happen at the defensive end as only he can.
big fella just a little out of control. That's going up against one of the elite defenders in our competition, in Matthew Dellavedova. Read that perfectly. And a little crossover dribble to find his way to the basket. Easily read by Dellavedova. Causes the turnover.
Scott Roth doing such a great job with the JackJumpers in their debut season. Really loved his energy. And the way he's been able to get this team that on paper doesn't have the stars to mention that some other teams do, but they bought into his system, and as we've spoken about, the defense has been outstanding. Restricting teams to 77%. Second best behind the team they're facing here, Melbourne. So Tassie up 15. 2.5 done, term number 2. Dellavedova creating Luala Chul. Count.
I'm not sure if they're going to count. I think the foul might have been on Delhi out of bounds. Delhi making the pass.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I think it might.
It was a good idea to see there. Sam McDaniel thinking of switch, and yeah, you're right. Sorry, that is on Josh Adams. That's going to count.
Still not sure it should have counted. There was a little extra step there by
thought about it.
Joe
Right.
Luala Chul, and he gets the benefit of the doubt and goes in for the three-point play.
Josh Adams with it for Tasmania. And McVeigh and the Jet. Magnay. And Adams is feeling confident, and that's why. He is cooking. 4 of 5 from the field. He's got 11.
He can do this when he's knocked down an easy one and starts to feel good. Delhi with the crossover all the way.
Pretty to watch. 7 in the game now for Dellavedova. It's McVeigh. Finds his chances here against Peatling. Couldn't get it over the front of the rim though, and Luala Chul the rebound. This is Golding exploring, forcing it up. Can't get it done, but off to the free throw line. Just starting to shift the momentum here toward Melbourne United.
There's a little terminal on the offensive end for the JackJumpers, and that's playing into the hands of Melbourne United. I think Melbourne United, in their first 8 seconds of the offense, they are probably the best in the competition. They fly that thing down, they run down in waves, and they've got so many different threats and prepared to let it fly. So Scott Roth just calls a timeout. He's going to have a chat to the boys, and
Everything's in the paint now. We got to get back to square. And then we got to go rebound those long ones that are going over our head. We got to go stick a body before we go in. Box.
More illustration than verbal
well, this is
instruction.
what he's done here. He has taken a leaf out of Trevor Gleason's book. And Trevor Gleason not wanting to broadcast to us and the rest of the world their sets and what they're going to do. One, because he doesn't want to, with the pre-scouts of what other teams are going to do, identify what they're calling certain plays. And 2, there's also a belief that, well, maybe someone's watching it on the telly, can give a quick signal down to the opponent's team. There's Chris Anstey, one of the all-time greats. Warwick Giddy and Andrew Parkinson at the game. There's a box of superstars, and
We might get maybe a Gucci shirt or something from Wazza.
just got back a couple of days ago from spending some times with Josh Giddy. Spoke really positively, as you would, about a young man that's just been the last 3 months has been the rookie of the month for the Western Conference. 3 consecutive months in a row now.
Putting up extraordinary numbers, superior to what he was doing here in the NBL. He has really blossomed in the best league in the world and doing Australia proud. Chris Golding has got 9 points. Only Luala Chul with 10 has more for Melbourne at the moment. Still a double-figure lead as Kenyon hands over to Najet. Lob past Crystal a bit. Oh, asked a lot of him. Peatling came from the weak side. And say foul.
Well, the noticeable difference in this quarter as opposed to the first is the defensive pressure. Even the cuts are being bumped. That time they get through it, and Peatling coming from the weak side gets called for a foul. Nice play executed out of the timeout.
Interestingly, when these teams played back on New Year's Day in round 5, Magnay did not play because of COVID protocols, and Tassie still led at one stage by 10 and turned for home with a 2-point buffer at three-quarter time, and it was 76-72 Melbourne in the final analysis, but they gave Melbourne all they could handle, and in the process restricted them, as I say, to just 76 points, which is their second lowest score of the season. It's a 13-point edge for Tasmania as Dellavedova creates 2 more for Melbourne.
With this aggressive on-ball defence, it opens up the driving lanes, and I think Dellavedova's made the most of it. He's up to 9 points as well, 4 or 5 from the field.
McVeigh gets it from Kenyon, working on Peatling again with that edge in mobility, and draws contact. Free throws to come. Second foul for Peatling.
He's one of those ones, he's a little unorthodox, and he can sometimes make something out of nothing with his creativity. Those little step backs, the little one-leg floaters, and at time just puts his head down and figures out a way to draw a foul.
JackJumpers are the worst free throw shooting team in the competition at just 66%. They're 8 of 8 here. Melbourne 4 of 4 from the free throw line. So perfect combined now, 13 of 13 from the free throw line. Shea brings United forward. Middle stages of the second quarter. Tasmania have had the answer so far, and a travelling violation called on Shea Illy. Third turnover for Melbourne.
So Melbourne United have been running that play nearly this whole second quarter. They've had success when Chris Golding's the one who's coming up to either set that little rub screen or just run out of it, because you've got a shooter that you've got to stay locked into, and if the defense breaks down, then we saw Delhi expose the JackJumpers with an easy 2. Caleb Garner, not a knockdown shooter like Chris Golding. It's easier to defend.
Adams gets it from the jet. Now McVeigh again in motion, turns down the shot. Magnay outside, can't convert.
Good form by the big fella. He's got nice timing. It's good release.
He's Peatling with it on the pass. It was just casual. Magnay deflected it, took it away from them. This Magnay trying to exploit Peatling down low. As the number 22s go at it. They reset. Shot clock to single digits again. Josh Majette, just the 1 of 2 from the field so far. Can't convert. Nice work. Gawala chawling it over the back of McVeigh to grab the rebound. Here's Golding ready to go. Catch and shoot. And Golding's now into double figures. He's got 12 points, including 2 of 3 triples.
Just jogged down the floor, got to his spot, and whoever's guarding him, you just got to be aware. As soon as he catches the ball, he might go up, especially if he hit a couple in the game.
Low scoring second quarter so far. Kenyon is there just to ease the situation for Tasmania, who cracked a half century here with 4 minutes to play in the first half.
A great pass by Majette. Just to see it and to read it and the quick ball hand, the way in which they're prepared to share it around and make an extra pass.
Well, this has been an offensive juggernaut from Tasmania. Their highest score this season is 84.
They're only averaging 75 points a game.
They got 52 already.
And we've still got time, a little bit more time to go.
Started on the defensive end because Matt Kenyon's the one who made Caleb Agata have to shoot instead of getting the 1 more to Chris Golding, and then just took off straight away. Josh Majette with the good heads-up play. Easy 2 on the other end. Dean Vickerman wants a timeout.
This has been impressive from Tasmania. We'll try and get into the huddle there. Dean Vickerman United.
Well, we get it back to 10. Yes, we're in denial, but we still got to make that compete, all right? He flashes back. We got to still be in that. Make that hard, trying to blow that up. Yes, the shift guy hits a 3, and we live with that part a little bit. Be better with the guards. Everybody. doing it without fouling right now. All right, both of you two are into the body. You're flying through it. If it's a little higher and then you get the duck under, I can live with that one. If that's the only time that you guys are getting off the body right now. Do it with your hands high. All right, do it with your hands high. Let's go back to shakes up. CG setting the fifth right now on a shakes up.
Well, this was Chris Goulding before he hit that three. Just a little tweak of the left ankle there, and he went down. You see it. He was down there for a little bit, and that's why he did just slowly jog into
Recovered well.
that outlet. Well, that's what offensive shooters do. You recover well when you go down the other end.
It's also what happens when you've rolled that sucker that many times. You get that stinger, and yep, it'll be a little bit puffy, but you just wild down there and spot up and knock it down.
Let's go courtside, Nerily Meadows.
Just listening in to Scott Roth, they're really imploring his men to make sure you finish this quarter off. Don't just leave the job here on in, and they'll be happy with that effort there. Not quite the finish, though, from Tassie, but they're doing a remarkable job here, guys, because this is the biggest crowd we have had at John Cain Arena since the pandemic started. Around 8,000 people in the house, and every single one of them screaming for Melbourne United to get things back on track.
First home game in 7 weeks for Melbourne United, and Tasmania are spoiling the party at the moment, although entertaining us in the process. Highest scoring quarter of the season by any team in term number 1 with 36. They've now got the highest score against Melbourne at half-time, well before half-time this season as well.
Well, they're just playing good basketball now. They've figured out the way they want to play, the style, the brand of Tasmania Jack-Jumper basketball, and we've seen it. They're different defense. A lot of it they try to get up full court, play with energy, try and turn teams over, and now they're just shooting the ball well because the offense is getting through hands. They're picking apart the defense of other teams. And their last game, when they hit 12 threes against the Kings, was the first time they've shot more threes than twos all season. And right now they're 7 of 11.
Well, they shot 40 threes and 27 twos. It's extraordinary.
Well, you wouldn't think that this team is one that's going to do that. I mean, Clint Steiner, obviously a high-volume shooter. He wasn't one of the main ones. Josh Majet's found his groove. Josh Adams as well. Will Magnay stepping out and taking a couple.
More pressure up the floor here. They've got problems. Need to get over the halfway line. And the shot clock says they use 7 of the 8 unless they've stepped out of court. I'm not quite sure. But you could see this coming. And Matt Kenyon dribbled into the trap and then had problems. Reeling it in, may have stepped out of court.
Well, that's the worst place for Matt Kenyon. Firstly, he caught it too close to the sideline, which didn't give him an outlet to try and push the ball down the sideline. And then he took 2 dribbles to the deep corner, which is nowhere where you want to be, trying to break a press.
Just Lachul turning and coming up with 2 more. So tick over 3 minutes out from half-time. Jet. Contact off the ball here. Adams colliding with Shea Illy. By the sounds of the fans, it's going to be an offensive foul.
Shea Illy does that so well. Talk about being hard to screen. He just throws his body. He gets skinny on the screen, so he fights through it. You see at the bottom, basically right between Krislovic and Adams, and then Josh Adams gets a bit frustrated because he's not getting any freedom off getting that screen.
Does he? Looks like just trying to fight over the screen, bit of contact come together. I think Josh had lucky on that one.
Lachul against Magnay. Tasmania over the limit in terms of fouls in this quarter. Forced Lachul into a tough hook shot, couldn't finish it. Here's McIntosh. A lot of the ball carrying here in the first half, which is a little out of the ordinary. Adams with a poor pass. He was looking for Magnay, but had to get it past Barlow initially. Now the shot clock works down to 6. Magnay bounces into Barlow. Forces up a tough shot, couldn't convert. Lachul. Shea Illy running. Saw an opening. Adams gets back there. He gets it done. Terrific finish from Shea Illy.
Shea Illy with the gelatin.
A little bit of spin. Read that situation really well. Knew the contact was coming. Here's the D down one end. Barlow does a good job of staying vertical. And then off to the races and putting pressure on, and Adams just couldn't get out of the way. And Shea Illy again doing a good job of knowing where the defense is coming from and forcing that contact.
Again, Scott Roth going with a visual explanation here, but what's happened is that Melbourne have scored 6 unanswered points and are just closing.
Settle in, settle down, handle the basketball, handle the pressure, pivots, V-cuts, strong with the ball. Don't let them speed you up. You got to own some spots now. Come on, come on. Get a good blow here. Settle in, settle in. 0.9, 0.9, 0.9. Together, 1, 2, 3 together.
Well, they're only, and just look at this quarter in isolation. They're only trailing this quarter by 4. And it's just momentum right now. You can see that Melbourne United have done a really good job in this second quarter coming out, cranking up the defense, a lot more ball pressure, harder to move in that half court. And that's where Melbourne United have been able to fight their way back into this one. Still healthy margin right now for the Tasmanian JackJumpers. I think Scott Roth is exactly right. Just be patient. Don't get rushed into those early field goal attempts.
Well, they played too well. 18 minutes to start this game. On both ends, really. Just a couple of breakdowns in the defensive end in the last couple. And little turnovers like that haven't helped.
Majette finds Steindl, guarded by Shea Illy, and on the retreat, well done, Newley, active hands, shot clock to 2. Majette fires, and he's fouled in the process, and off to the free throw line.
I don't often see that from Brad Newley. That's a bit of a brain fade there. They did really well for 22 seconds defensively. They were getting in the lanes, trying to cause some turnovers. And that shot clock was running down. Brad Newley just got to realise that he has to let it fly.
Well, they did everything they had to do. Really contested every pass. A lot of deflections. A really junk play by the JackJumpers, forced into that because of the aggressive defence.
81% free throw shooter, Josh Majette this season, 25 of 31 coming into this game. And Tassie now 9 of 9 from the free throw line. And make it 10, and they came in as the worst free throw shooting team in the competition at 66%. They are turning things around, and we shouldn't be surprised. Their last win against Sydney by 7 points last Friday. They beat New Zealand by 24. They beat Adelaide by 5.
Oh, boy.
And here's Illy quickly up the floor, and too easily getting the 2.
Well, that just can't happen after a free throw. And a make as well. Not a free throw miss, just an outlet. Shea Illy snuck away on the break.
McIntosh shut down. Lual Lachul gets his first block of the game. Well, they've coughed it up here. McDaniel's got it back. They just need to steady here. Tasmania. Majette into the paint. Can't finish it though. Now 1 of 4 from the field. Here's Illy. Finds Barlow. Pass. Nodding's good enough to retrieve it though. Then split 2 would-be defenders, went behind the back, not quite sure. He was just a little out of control, just bootlegging there like a quarterback with not much in terms of a plan. Tassie by 10, inside 60 seconds on the clock till half-time. Steindl's off the mark.
I'm surprised we haven't seen a whole bunch of Josh Adams in this one. He's playing one of his better games, 4 or 5 from the field, and he's only played the, what is it, just on 10 minutes. I know he's got those fouls, but he's dying seconds and you're struggling to put points on the board and things are going against. Well, not against, he's still got a nice lead, but they look different when he's not in the game.
Good defense there from Steindl.
Tones and I in the house as well. A little bit of action. They do a great job of it, Melbourne United. Fans are going to be entertained. One of the best in the world.
Give us a little bit, Casey.
Oh, no.
He was singing it earlier in the pre-production meeting.
Not very well, I might add.
Well, in my head,
it sounded good.
I won't put anyone else to it.
I'm the last person should be talking about singing after being voted off the school choir. That doesn't happen very often, I can assure you. They didn't want me involved.
Tough.
Nice work, McIntosh.
It's a coming out party from McIntosh. 13 first half points. 3 of 3 from the line, a couple rebounds.
Dellavedova trying to make something happen. Against good defence, can't connect. First half on as well and truly with the Tasmania JackJumpers here at the moment. They've opened up a 12-point buffer. It was 13 at quarter time. The major break, 57-45, is an unlikely scoreline against the best defensive team in the competition.
Just a fantastic half of basketball. I dare say one of the, if not the best half of basketball we've seen from the JackJumpers in all facets, shooting at 54%, 58% from three-point line, and really making it tough for Melbourne United.
Let's get courtside for some reaction with Nerily Meadows.
I've got Josh Adams with me. Josh, that first quarter in particular, the highest quarter we've seen in the NBL, 36 points. What did you make of it?
It was exciting. It was good to see some of our shots start to fall. Melbourne picked up the pressure a little bit to end the half, so we got to respond to that more appropriately.
Yeah, they picked it up, and the crowd is well and truly in their favour, obviously. How do you make sure you get the job done in the second half?
We just got to get back to our basics, being a defensive stopping team. We can't let them dictate the tempo. We need to dictate the tempo instead. It's a great fan base, so we got to stay more tight as a team.
Appreciate your time.
Josh Adams there with Nerily Meadows, and he's done his part. 11 points at half-time, and they've opened up a 12-point buffer. The top on the table, Melbourne United, with their hands full here against the Tasmania JackJumpers, who are doing a good job of it. Stay with us here. More Hungry Jacks NBL and Sunday Hoops coming at you right after this. Welcome back to Sunday Hoops. Hungry Jacks highlights, and the Tasmania JackJumpers have been outstanding. They've come up with 57 points in the first half here. Only New Zealand's 59 against Adelaide back in round two is superior to that. They've done it against the best defensive team in the competition. They are looking good.
They certainly are, and even in that second quarter, they were able to maintain the status quo, and they did it with some outstanding shooting. They were executing really well. They're prepared to make the extra pass like that one and running the floor, picking up their nice balance between their transition offense and their half-court offense. And down the other end of the floor, 45 points is also a fair chunk to give up, and they're shooting well at 50%. So it's been their offense that's been the standout, and it's going to take a just as good an effort if they're going to be able to hang on to it. McIntosh has had his best game in a JackJumpers uniform with his 11 points. Adam with those 11, but he does have those 3 fouls. And have a look at Chris Golding. After 6 consecutive quarters of not making a field goal, he says, don't forget about me with those 14 points, and he's done it at a pretty decent clip as well. And the shooting percentages there, they are 60% from the field is really good shooting pulls.
They were 14 of 18 in that opening quarter, really set the tone and have just gone on with it from there. Full credit to them.
I mean, they were great. They had a game plan. They come out. They've stuck with it. Their defence has been enormous against Melbourne United, and then the way that Melbourne United have been trying to defend the JackJumpers, they've really exploited it. And Gazy said off air, you got to hit shots, and that's what they're doing. 7 of 12 from 3, opens everything else up, allows Will Magnay to get involved down low, Josh Adams, Josh Majette to really explore off the dribble. And
they're getting good contributions across the board as well. They've got 9 scorers at the moment, Tasmania, and Mikhail McIntosh, well, he is having a night out as well. Really turned it on. 9 points in the opening quarter, 13 here at halftime, doing a lot of the ball, carrying duties which we haven't seen a lot of, but he has looked all world here in this game.
He's been great, Mikhail McIntosh. There was about 4 games ago he got the tap on the shoulder from Scott Roth saying, I need more from you. And I think he's just been coming out with a different mindset every game. He's trying to be more aggressive, but he hasn't just got it going. There's his shot chart thanks to SodaStream. He's feeling good out there, having a lot of fun. And that's good to see for the JackJumpers.
That's right. No, it is. It's great. And he's a guy that's been under a lot of pressure too, a lot of scrutiny about how he's going to fit in the long term. And he's the last couple of games, he's showing some signs about what he's capable of doing.
Melbourne went with a focus on Joe Luala-Chul at the start of the game. He took half their shots in the opening quarter. About 9 out of 18 was all JLA. He's got 12 points at the moment on 5 of 12 from the field, 7 rebounds at the moment as well.
Well, I think JLA had a focus on himself as well, not just Melbourne United. He came out in that really aggressive mode. Maybe he looks at the bench and sees, well, hang on, Coach Cunt hasn't got a whole lot of opportunities to sub me out of the game. So he's had the 12 field goal attempts, 5 of 12. But boy, is he a target. Good touch around the basket, runs the floor really well, and he's never going to be bashful. He's always going to think that he can put the ball in the hole, and that's a genuine shooter's mentality, and he's had those points ticking over with those 12 points.
Certainly some parallels between this game and round 5 when they played on New Year's Day, and Tasmania, as I mentioned, had a 10-point lead, led at 3-quarter time. So not foreign territory for them, but can they keep it going?
Well, that's going to be the big thing, Scott Roth, because Dean Vickerman's going to give a big rev up to Melbourne United. 57 points in a half on your home floor with a big crowd is just not going to be acceptable. So the JackJumpers got to weather every storm, keep ticking over the scoreboard, and they can sneak away with a good win here.
And Drewy, do you think Melbourne will win from here?
Well, I think it remains to be seen whether the JackJumpers can keep up this offensive output. Defensively, they've had some problems as well. It's just been their offense has been elite. Melbourne United still shooting at a 50% or above. They've done a good job of guarding the 3-point line, so that it's going to be a huge test with them. But without Jack White and Hook Porty, this is the time if the JackJumpers are going to get them. It's a good time to take advantage of that.
Chasing their first win on the mainland for a Tasmanian team since 1991. Well, you too can play like a pro thanks to Bunnings Warehouse, who are giving you the chance to win your very own court at home. Enter now at win.nbl.com.au/Bunnings.
I only worked on shooting, which is why that's really all I can do.
I had a basketball hoop and a little trampoline. I used to play back there for hours with my brother and get beat up a lot, but it was a lot of fun in the meantime.
My dad built one, so I had a little bit of like a half court going on, and that made my life the best, so I could never complain as a kid.
That was kind of like our sanctuary, our getaway from everything.
The crowd loved every second of this. A couple of songs from Aussie and, let's be honest, international superstar Tones and I at halftime. She is the #1 ticket holder for Melbourne United, and I'm told she's a pretty handy basketballer herself. In rehearsals earlier today, she was chucking up a few and making pretty light work of it. She does need her team, though, to bounce back. They have some work to do here, down by 12 up against Tasmania and JackJumpers.
And Tasmania have been impressive. And there's Joe Luala-Chul, who started scoring in the game and starts impressively here in the second half as well.
As Casey said, he's never going to be shy. It really did make him the main focus. Matt Kenyon's trying to stay aggressive. He's up to 9 points now. He's out there for his defense. 9 points, 3 rebounds. Having an impact.
Averaging 3 points a game, so blossoming in the role, injected into the starting lineup. This is Agata. Interestingly, we're seeing Shea Illy start the second half as well. And no Matthew Dellavedova at the start of the second half. Josh Adams with those 3 fouls is out there as Tasmania go back to their original starting 5.
With Dellavedova having those 9 points, the only thing we could think of is that perhaps that little tweak was more than a little tweak, and there's a bit of concern.
Well, he got a second opinion after Dr. Gaze thought he had it under control.
Thought he had it covered, but maybe not. He looked good when he came back on after that tweak and seemed to be moving freely, moving his feet. Sometimes at half-time you sit down and it stiffens up a little bit.
Let's see if Nerily Meadows can update us.
The understanding from Melbourne United is that there's nothing wrong with Dellavedova. It was actually Chris Golding that they checked in on with that ankle at half-time, but he was given the green light to start this second half.
The only other thing I could think of for Delly then, it was minus 17 in his 11 minutes played, and Dean Bickerman, coaching staff, Chris Golding knocks one down. Do look at the plus-minus a lot, but again, Matthew Dellavedova, you probably think, trust him to be able to turn things around if you're worried about that output.
4 or 6 from the field, 9 points, but clearly there's more to it than that.
7 points to 2 to start the third quarter in the first 90 seconds for Melbourne. Tasmania being challenged. What do they have? Jack McVeigh's got that.
I saw him gearing up for it. I thought he was going to maybe pull out the last second.
Well, Dean Bickerman straight away upset with the closeout and the easy straight lines. Immediately points to the bench, and Dave Barlow getting ready to check in. So his players are on a short leash on the defensive end.
Beetling starting the second half. Josh Adams, penetration. Thought he was fouled, couldn't get a whistle. Has stayed down as well. So a chance for Melbourne to exploit this. Agata fires, he's off the mark. And three-point shooting just hasn't been there for Melbourne, apart from Golding, who's 3 of 4. His teammates are a combined 1 of 10 around him from deep.
Caleb Agata's got to... Josh Adams coming out, landed straight awkwardly on the hip. Caleb Agata's got to attack there because Josh Adams was down. It was a 5-on-4. Someone's going to be open, just walked into a 3. And if you're the JackJumpers, you're trying to clog the lane because you're down short a man. You're going to live with that every time.
Majet fires. It's off the mark. Luala-Chul, rebound number 9 for him. Most in the game. And no one else has more than 3. And the JackJumpers have just 19 as a team. Tasmania by 9. Almost 3 minutes played, term number 3. Steindl gets involved. Majet wanted McVeigh, eventually found him. Shot clock rolls to 6. Steindl top of the key. Looking to get something happening, can't convert. Luala-Chul now into double figures in points and rebounds. And foul's going to be called on Matt Kenyon, his first personal.
Got away with a couple there, Melbourne United, going underneath Clint Steindl. And there is Delhi.
Straight away, again, with that short leash we're talking about, looks like Caleb Agata has been checked out of the game. Brad Newley coming in only after 3 minutes.
Narrowly.
Yeah, Matthew Dellavedova, just taking a closer look at the stat sheet, boys, and he is plus-minus in that. He is minus 17 for the first half. And I know that Dean Bickerman pays a lot of attention to that statistic, so just taking a closer look, that may be it. And he's starting on the bench because he's minus 17 for court time for Melbourne United.
No, I think it's well known. I'm not a fan of the plus-minus, and that just adds to my theory. If you're benching Delhi for a plus-minus, I don't know if I can go along with that.
Well, I think there's some validity to it. You can't completely ignore it on a minus 17.
Well, things are happening for them now because Chris Golding has knocked down another. He's 5 23 points. This is a man who had missed his last 21 shots coming into the game.
And you called it. The first one was going to go down, and that's all it needs. Chris Golding doesn't need much space at all, and having a good game here. 23 points on just 9 shots, and he's 5 of 6 from deep. Well, up until that Adelaide game was having an outstanding season as well.
13 points to 4 to start the third quarter. Stride up for the JackJumpers here in 3.5 minutes.
It is, and I think it's what we spoke about. Let's listen in to Tasmania.
Wouldn't underestimate the influence that Mika Vukona has on this outfit as well.
Do what we ask. Do what we ask. That's mental lapses. Come on. Together. 1, 2, 3 together.
I'm starting to think the Scott Ross timeouts start with about 40 seconds of meditation where everybody takes a deep breath and just relaxes, and then he comes in with 10 seconds and says...
No, what it is he doesn't want to verbalise the play he's going to run, so he's done all on the illustrations on the board, and he's just trying to make sure they know the next play that they're going to get to, and then clearly he's not happy that they're following the instructions based on the last 10 seconds of that timeout.
Well, he's just talking about those little breakdowns, and basically right now, Chris Golding has the ball. Someone's got to be glued to him, because you know that even though he did miss every shot in Adelaide, every single one he takes, so often think it's going in. He's going to pull up here. Why not?
He's fouled off to the free throw line. And he's knocked down his 900th three during this spree that he's had in this game. 5 of 6 from deep.
And this is the world we live in these days, because you could almost see a direct drive for Chris Golding to get to the cup, but instead he's made his three. He's shooting it really well from the three-point line, feeling hot where he's 5 of 6, and thought, oh, I'll just pull up and launch it again.
Not sure how many other guys in the league would do that on a 1-on-0 with a layup.
Well, you see it a lot in a lot of leagues now. I mean, watching an NBA game and trying to decide, well, what is a good shot and a bad shot, it is really hard to do these days because of the way in which the game's played. And elements of that we see here in the NBL as well, is where just coming down on an open three, regardless of the context, is more acceptable these days than it once was. There's only a few people with those licenses back in the day.
Well, and I've been around long enough to know that you're one of them. 15 to 4 is the run from Melbourne United here at the moment. They're back to within 1. I mentioned Golding had hit his 900th three. You had 1,826 of them, I think. So I'm sure you would have jacked up a couple when there was no one else around as well.
Not a whole lot of passing going on there, Pete.
I wouldn't have thought so. But if you shoot it that well, you don't need to pass, Pete. You don't get your name in the paper for passing. The great Steve Carfino once told me.
Well, these days I think you do. I think that the way we look at triple doubles and other elements of the game are a lot more than what it used to be.
Oh, Achul rejected, but it was through the cylinder from Magnay, so they'll get the 2. And Melbourne United are back in front here for the first time since the opening quarter.
Well, you see there, they just broke the pressure. Brad Newley missed the layup in transition. That's his bread and butter. Second effort, second chance points. While Achul got 16 points and now 12 rebounds. Having himself some sort of night.
Well, he just can't score. Like I said, there hasn't been a huge difference on what's happening on the defensive end. It's what's happening offensively now for the JackJumpers. They had that outstanding first half. And another foul on a three-point shot.
I'll tell you what, Jared Weeks, as soon as Matthew Dellavedova brought that ball over half court, was screaming Chris Golding's name from the bench, saying, somebody find him. And Jared Weeks knew exactly where it was going to go. And why wouldn't you keep hunting this man right now? 25 points on just 9 shots.
They've scored the last 10 here, United, and since half-time, 17 points to 4 is the run in 4.5 minutes. Credit to United, because Tasmania were looking strong, out by as many as 15 in that second quarter. But Melbourne have dug in here. Made it tough. for the JackJumpers to score. In fact, they're 2 of 7 from the field since half-time. None of 3 from deep. Haven't been to the free throw line.
Melbourne United got the lead here. We've got 5 players who have hit the scoreboard in the whole game. I know they're missing Hook Porty and Jack White, but JackJumpers has 16, Delhi has 9, Shaley and Caleb Bagata with 6, and then Chris Golding's got 27.
In contrast, the JackJumpers have got 9 scorers so far at the moment. There's Magnay now in the number 54 after his original 22 had some blood on it.
Great hands by Delhi. And good defensive pressure. Able to slide his feet.
Barlow just with a step up. Put Will Magnay down, off the ball. He's in the wars.
So largely one-way traffic here since half-time in favour of Melbourne United. And the JackJumpers even struggling to restart here. McIntosh goes to Majette. Shot clock at 3. Outside, McDaniel pulls up for the jump up. Can't convert, loose ball. Magnay had a piece of it. Lachul gets after it. And a chance here for Melbourne to build on a 12-0 run. Still Vidova. Uses Barlow. Newley. Reasonable talent on the floor for Melbourne. 4 Olympians and Joe Lachul. Here's Barlow, one of those Olympians. Couldn't get it to go.
Barlow just can't buy one right now.
You're not just talking about this game.
Exactly.
You're talking about this season. It's been tough going for him.
6 of 23 coming into this game. 0 of 5 from 3 tonight, and they've all been relatively wide open like that one.
That one, 3/4 of the ball was through the hoop, and it can happen when just things aren't going right. Just you don't seem to get those lucky bounces. And he's been struggling.
And he is a 42% career three-point shooter. 534 threes he's hit in his 352 games. So Tasmania will take anything they can get at the moment. They've got Magnay to the free throw line, where he was 2 of 2 prior to that.
It's not just the fact of guarding the shooters right now. You can see, compare this to the first quarter, where there was much more freedom of movement for the Tasmanian JackJumpers players. So in the half court, they could get to their sets and get through it a whole lot easier than what we're doing right now. Every dribble, every pass is contested. And as such, it's just a real tough time for the JackJumpers to get any sort of quality shots off.
Oh, Garter did well there in a sticky situation and enjoyed it so much he kept running with it and comes up with a 2.
That has been the story this third quarter. That's, again, the JackJumpers style of play on the defensive end is to try and get up the floor and cause turnovers. You see there, they didn't close the gate, and 2 defenders just let Caleb Bagata split them down the middle, and he was off to the races. Kyle McIntosh.
He showed him a big bag of tricks there to get to the free throw line as we go to Nerily Meadows.
Just another health check in with Melbourne United. David Barlow just walked straight past me and has gone into the rooms for a little bit of treatment. I'm told it's a lower back issue. We do expect him to play out the game, but needs some treatment.
Those lower back problems can be debilitating, especially when you're 38 years of age, or any age really. McIntosh, high scorer for the JackJumpers. And how about that? Couldn't get it done, and the code word is sing for the Hungry Jack's free cheeseburgers for Victoria. A little earlier, we saw New Zealand hand them out in New South Wales, so our man Jack Cowan, who was in the crowd for the Kingdome, is now going to worry about 2 states giving away the burgers. What a great partnership this has been with Hungry Jacks and the NBL.
There was 1 each in the first half.
Absolutely.
Right on the 3-point line.
It's tough times now for the JackJumpers. In just a few ticks over 6 minutes of basketball, they've only been able to score 5 points. This on the back quarters of 36 and 21. And this man on your screen, Chris Golding, he, after coming off an 0-14 game, didn't waste any time of erasing those horrific memories from his memory bank, because he'll remember these this action a whole lot more. When you get in the groove and way too much space on a few of these, but these are the types of shots that he was missing. Same shots, same looks, but he was just missing last week against Adelaide. Tonight, pretty much everything going in.
And I like Caleb Agada's interview with Nerily Meadows at the start. Asked about how Chris Goulding was going to bounce back, and he just smiled and said, just watch this. So Caleb Agada knew that's what happens. He's done it at such a high level his whole career. As we said, he's had a really good start to the season. Just that uncharacteristic game, 0-14. And in a full game, it was an overtime game. I'd be hard-pressed to think that that would ever happen again for Chris Goulding, to not hit a single field goal.
Yeah, one of those rare days. And on the back of 2 quarters before that, where he also failed to get a field goal. So he had a long stretch of a few sleepless nights and trying to right those wrongs. But the champions find a way to get it done. And he's certainly done that in emphatic fashion this afternoon.
Last time these two teams played on that game we were speaking about without Magnay, the last quarter, Melbourne United had 13 points, which is very low for them, but they held the JackJumpers to just 7 points. So we're going through another little lull here. They need to tick the scoreboard over.
They get a stop. That will help. Now they need to run. McIntosh. Well, they had McDaniel working hard to the hoop. McIntosh fires to 3 and comes up with a triple.
Oh, boy. Come on, McIntosh. He's having himself a true coming-out party.
Well, he's 1 of 16 before that one. He didn't shoot it like a 1 of 16. Stepped into that confidence.
Some players just love playing in certain environments.
McIntosh enjoying this, 16 points. Goulding with 27 has more in the game. Loose ball. Shot clock about to expire. Did they get it off in time? Well, it doesn't matter. The shot clock expires on Melbourne.
So Colin McIntosh clearly is thinking, I cannot wait to play against Melbourne United or the Phoenix. Who's your favourite in your career, the favourite place that you want to go at?
Well,
not the home venue, of course.
I go back to the old days. The best gyms were the old Albert Park Stadium, the old Apollo in Adelaide. Oh, that was a night. Low roofs, just nice and compact. Loved them, and certainly the Illawarra Stadium, even the new one, both the Snake Pit and the, it's not that new anymore, but the entertainment centre there, very nice.
McIntosh, good defensive pressure there from Beetling, just forced him into error, and Tasmania turned the ball over for the 11th time, including 5 turnovers in this quarter after having 6 at half-time.
Yeah, this has been impressive by Melbourne United, the way in which they can flick that switch and just go to another level or 2 on the defensive end.
Izagata got inside. McDaniel can't convert. Thought he was fouled. Whistle not forthcoming. Majette got it from McDaniel. McIntosh in support. He's back to McDaniel, who started the play and is going to finish it as well.
It's a big knockdown from Sam McDaniel, because that's the reason he got taken out of the starting lineup, because he's a 3-and-D type player. He's out there for his defense, but to be able to knock down the open 3, and he wasn't doing that. So Scott Roth ran with Matt Kenyon. Delhi tees one up off offensive rebound. That'll help his confidence.
JackJumpers back on top here by 2. They've scored the last 6 points after Melbourne put their noses in front. And Majette in the corner. McDaniel from the other wing. This time short on the rim. Steindl keeps it alive. Majette. Well, McIntosh, they stood off him, so he said, "I'll fire." Finish it, loose ball, scramble. And McDaniel had a foot on the line as well. Melbourne will get it back.
Saw in the audience there, someone had the old Hobart Devils with the Wayne McDaniel jersey, I think it was.
I think it was, Andrew. Well spotted.
Number 34. Here we see off the glass, they push it down the floor. Sam McDaniel wide open in the corner, knocks it down.
Here's Agata, wheeling and dealing, can't convert. Steindl hands over. Adams back on the floor after sitting down with that injury in the first 90 seconds of this quarter. Short.
That's not what they need to do, the JackJumpers, because yeah, you come up with a stop. Caleb Agata missed another lap. He's missed a couple of those in a row. He's missed there. Now you want to make Melbourne United have to play some defense.
Here's McIntosh spinning on Barlow. Tough shot. Barlow's recovery D was good there. McIntosh trying to get a whistle. Adams just looks a little inconvenienced at the moment. Only starter on the floor at the moment for the JackJumpers. And they're inside the last 60 seconds of this third quarter.
McIntosh didn't get over the centre line. He might have suffered a little tweak on that last play as well. If not, it's not going to look good in the review. Didn't even get over the centre line on the hustle back.
Especially with the way he's been playing. There's a lot of positives coming out of this, and I think gives Scott Roth a reason to be upset with what happened. Yes, you didn't get the call. You got to run back on defense.
Adams works his way to the free throw line for the first time in the game. Actually gets there more than any other player for the JackJumpers, so unusual for him to be making his way to the stripe for the first time in the game, so close to three-quarter time. Garda's picked up his fourth foul, remembering he fouled out last game in Adelaide, and prior to that was in foul trouble as well.
Just keep an eye on Melbourne United are going to, if they go for a 2-for-1, or Chris Golding was yelling a bit of a head tap, and then Matthew Dellavedova potential for a too big, which is going to be a guard going into trying to get Joe Valachul a touch. And that head tap, they had a bit of success in the second quarter where it's guard-to-guard screen, where if it's Chris Golding and he either rubs off and doesn't set the screen, or you just get a little back door, and that should have counted.
Goaltend almost.
It went through the net.
It goes unwhistled. So shot clock, 8 seconds inside the game clock. As we head toward three-quarter time, Krislovich, he arcs up the three.
Well, they've weathered the storm, haven't they? Tasmania.
Well, they scored the last 11 here, and they're back on top by 7.
Points were really hard to come by. And there's an off-the-ball foul. And it's going to be an offensive one on Chris Golding, trying to set a screen. Here's the last play by the JackJumpers. And not a bad closeout, but down here, Chris Golding leaning forward there and gets called for the offensive foul.
Melbourne not scored in the last 4 minutes here, and Tasmania have taken advantage of that, and they're going to turn for home with a 7-point lead. Tasmania 73, Melbourne 66. It's the top team going under. Stick around, you'll find out here on Sunday Hoops and the Hungry Jacks NBL. Sports John Cain Arena, 8,499 fans have crammed the house to see Tones and I and the JackJumpers and United put on quite a show. And Tasmania weathered the storm after Melbourne hit the lead during the third quarter, coming from 15 down in the second. They've outscored them there and held them scoreless the last 4 minutes of that quarter. It's 73-66 here with a quarter to play.
Big response from the JackJumpers. I'm sure Scott Roth at halftime was saying, we got to expect a run. They're on their home floor. They get a nice rev at halftime. So weather the storm. If they go on a little run, we have to go on one of our own. And they've done that exceptionally well and set themselves up in a big position here.
Weeks on the ball carrying duties. Harassed by Golding. Shot clock to 7. Krislovic feeling good after knocking down a 3. Was a little wayward on that occasion.
A little.
Golding, Lual-Lachul. Well, they've been scoring in the first quarter and the third quarter. And earning a trip to the free throw line to try and do it again here in term number 4.
They got their work cut out for them, Melbourne United. Yes, they've made this charge and in fact took the lead, but JackJumpers showed great resilience in that last 3 or 4 minutes of the third quarter. Find a way to work out some of their offense, and you know, a lot of the times just making shots. Come down and kicked it out, and some of those shots that were missing early on, those 3 balls, started to fall. Their 3-point percentage has fallen off slightly here. They're still 47% from the 3-point line, 10 of 21.
Agne on the bite. Tasmania going with 1 starter here to begin the fourth quarter. Melbourne have got 3 out there, along with Peatling and Illy. Replace Barlow and Agata. Agata playing with 4 fouls, so he needs to be careful. Here's Weeks. Working to the shot. He's off the mark. Still yet to score in the game, Jared Weeks.
And all that whole offensive possession was just spent around the 3-point line, speaking of which Chris Golding tees one up. Missed his second miss from deep tonight. They're going to get something to attack the rim in and out. Doesn't have to be just one, no pass like that. I know McIntosh has played well, but make them have to shift side to side.
Here's Lual-Lachul coming up with the finishing touches.
He did that well, because he just was able to de-accelerate, is that such a word? But he's able to slow down enough with those last 2 possessions to get his timing right to make that an easy play at the rim. Oh,
well, Adams takes them on. Contact, no whistle. Dellavedova for Illy. Well done, Krislovic. Shut him down. Peatling gets after it, but Adams scoops it up for Tasmania. Eventually going to reel it in. Almost 2 minutes played in this final quarter. Krislovic just losing balance there. Vickerman wanted a travelling violation call. This has been an ugly play. Single digits on the shot clock here for Tasmania. Adams fires unsuccessfully. So 2 minutes played in the final quarter. Tasmania yet to score. Lual-Lachul inside. Krislovic read the pass, got into the lane, deflected the ball, and now going behind the back. McIntosh has put him off a little more than he can chew.
Turnovers galore and missed shots, and it started with the Josh Adams. See Chris Golding here, and thought for a second he was going to try and foul to slow up the
hint of a foul there, just with
I think that was his
forearm to the.
I think that was the intent. The initial intent was to try and slow down the break, I thought.
Sure how you can't call that foul. In the open, it wasn't like it was.
Kyle McIntosh probably thinking the same thing.
Like he got pushed off. Oh, maybe TV angles or something. There may be another explanation, but it sure did look like Chris Golding almost intentionally trying to foul.
Going back a few possessions ago before all those turnovers, Josh Adams going at Joe Lual-Lachul down the lane. Josh Adams is an athlete, but he's a 2-footed athlete. That's when he likes to jump and explode up. Tried to go up with 1 and still got up there. It's normally when he gets up with 2 that he can really finish above the rim or finish with more balance than he tried then off 1 foot.
Really hectic start. Both teams early shots in the offensive set. And for me, that's not in the best long-term interest of the JackJumpers. Trying to get a little bit better execution in the half court and slow things down a little.
There's Lual-Lachul again, up to 22 points. He's got all 6 of the points Melbourne have scored since three-quarter time, and Tasmania still looking for their first score of this quarter. 1-point ball game. Majet. Well, that's going to be a foul on Dellavedova. Got back up off the floor. He doesn't like it.
There's a little bit of frustration there, I think, from Delhi, because he thought
You both were going
thought
for
he's
the
got
ball.
hit.
You're just both going for
an offensive screen, and in the end, just wrapped his arm around Will Magnay. It's an easy call. But right here, he thought that a little veteran turn on the handoff, which we see them so often called. And there's a bit of a frustration and retaliation.
Adams penetrating, trying to be fancy behind the back in a confined space. It trickles out of court. I'll have 6 on the shot clock here. Wonder about the fatigue factor for Tasmania as well. Haven't been strong in last quarters. Now they've twice been held to single digits in the last quarter. One of those occasions was by Melbourne, where they came up with just 7. They're still yet to score here in the fourth. Luala Chul's been the danger man for them. Dellavedova can't get it. Luala Chul, surrounded by JackJumpers, snatches the O-board, puts Melbourne back in top. He has scored all 8 points in this quarter.
Oh, Case, he's got 24 points and 18 rebounds. 6 minutes 50 to go.
Yeah, there was 5 JackJumpers around him on that occasion. They had everyone in there, but he just wanted it a little bit more and used his size.
This is where Will Magnay likes to use his athleticism to go up and get the rebounds. Someone's got to get a body on him, because he basically initiated the contact with Will Magnay to get himself in prime position. See there, he gets inside. Will Magnay wasn't really paying attention, rips it down, and then goes up and finishes. He's having himself some sort of day.
Those 18 rebounds equals the best in the NBL this season. We saw Cam Bairstow grab 18, incidentally, against Tasmania in round 9. You know that rebounding's not their strong suit. Melbourne lead the competition on the boards, but they can't get any offense happening at the moment. They want McVeigh to try and create, and he's going to try and earn them from the free throw line here.
Just left his feet the last minute there, Brad Newley, and out of position. Just this helter-skelter pressure defense. Pushing the JackJumpers into some tough opportunities.
Well, they're none of 6 from the field since three-quarter time.
We've seen a few opportunities on the back cuts, and with this type of chronic overplay and being that physical, you are a little vulnerable for the back cuts, and perhaps something Scott Roth can consider, just to set up a little blind pig action where you get the handoff, which we saw earlier on, or just fake the dribble handoff and go back door.
Dellavedova with it. Now Golding, 27 points, leads all scorers, including 5 of 7 from deep. He's got 5 seconds on the shot clock here against McDaniel. Tough shot, can't convert. Barlow climbed higher. Garter out there to retrieve the situation as well. Being guarded by Josh Adams, almost Scott Roth at the same time. Can't convert. Majet feeds Adams out and running. McVeigh joining in. Hustling back on D. Well done, Dellavedova and United. And they shut them down. And they're still looking for their first field goal of this quarter, as Majet just tangles with a Garter there, and that's it for a Garter. He's going to foul out for the 2nd straight game.
Well, it's been a tough one for him. I know we spoke about Hook Porty and Jack White being out. Caleb Garter, opportunity was there. He's 4 of 13, just 8 points, a couple of assists, 5 fouls. Josh Adams landing basically straight on that hip where it went down hard in the 3rd quarter.
I tell you, this has been super impressive by Melbourne United, the way in which they've been able to apply this level of pressure consistently for the last couple of quarters. There's been no let-off.
All season, really, as well.
All season, but when you've given up a 35-point quarter, 36-point quarter, in fact, and then to be able to bounce back, and Jet just coming off that little on ball and knocking down a 3.
And on the flip side, the JackJumpers just weathering the storm, so they know Melbourne United can turn it up, and just finding a way to keep their noses in front for the time being. Scott Roth will be stoked to be in a position. I'm sure if you asked him pre-game, would you take being up 4 with 5 minutes to go? Like that too. It's holding up to 29 points. But now can you find ways to continue to tick that scoreboard over? Because you know that Defensive energy is going to lift on this end from Melbourne United.
McDaniel against Peatling in a mismatch, fires over the top and comes up with a finish. So 7 in the game now for Sam McDaniel after having 2 at half-time. The Jack Jumpers hold a 4-point buffer. 4.5 to play. Delvedova picks up the dribble. Here's Peatling. Muscling his way in. Tough shot. Nice finish. Great way to open your scoring account. Just the 6th Melbourne player to score. Tassie has 9 on the score sheet. As McVeigh retreats away from Peatling. Magnay with it. No passing lane for Adams. Well done, Shea Ely. Magnay forced to put it on the deck. Takes on it, Luala Chulin. McVeigh did a good job there, arriving late for the clean-up too. He's off to the free throw line.
Down the other end of the floor, there's a flop warning on Chris Golding. He's been blocked, top blocked on some of those cuts, and he's throwing his arms around and his head back, and officials didn't like it, so he's copped a flop warning.
Melbourne over the limit in terms of fouls in this quarter now with more than 4 minutes still on the clock. It's an area that Tasmania can exploit. They need to stay strong. This would be some sort of win if they can get across the finish line. Jack McVeigh now perfect, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. Jack Jumpers 19 of 22 overall from the stripe. Melbourne 12 of 15. Both teams are being strong. 4 points is the margin. Inside 4 minutes to play. Single digits on the shot clock. Golding off the mark. Well done by Adams to grab the rebound.
Well, they ran and played for Chris Golding, and Sam McDaniel lost him. Looked like he was trying to go underneath. Chris Golding had a good read.
Well done, Shea Ely. Cut out the pass intended for Adams. Off and running. Peatling in support. Golding. Now Luala Chul may have travelled. No, foul's going to be called on Magnay.
Although it never came off that last play, but it's what I was talking about before with those overplays, the chance for the Jet to find Adams on that back cut. It wasn't there, but you could still see the makings of it. It was just the execution of the pass wasn't there, but they are a little exposed. If they can find a way to get just slightly better angles on that, this back cut should be on.
Delvedova, single digits on the shot clock, works to the elbow, fires and comes up with the 2. He's got 11 points in the game, his first score in the second half.
Good read from Delhi. You know he's got that little floater game, but this is what he does right now. You see the way he's guarding Josh Majette. Just doesn't want him to get the ball to set up a play, and of course gets it as we say that.
Well, McVeigh fires quickly, can't connect. Well done McDaniel to get a piece of it, trying to hustle it back to Majette, but Shea Ely got after it and did a good job of it. Now he's going to be called for the offensive foul though, and the continuation waved away.
Extraordinary effort in the first place by Shea Ely. Went down, was smothered, and just the speed at which he was able to get to his feet, then took off. So he's down here, and look at the way he just boom, comes back up. And here McVeigh does the right thing, just stops dead. Ely a little out of control, and charging foul. So good effort by McVeigh to read that.
It's a great effort because he knew that he had help on the inside. So Shea Ely couldn't do a big Euro step, couldn't change direction. If he was going to try and go to the left, which it looked like Shea Ely was going to, he was going to run straight into the help defense. So just stop, stand still, get bowled over.
And for Shea Ely, to quote the greatest of all time, was like a cork in the ocean.
Oh, well, there we go.
Dennis Cometti,
Dennis,
former NBL commentator of note.
So here it is, as you're talking about, guys. Jack McVeigh gets back, and right there, so it was Will Magnay. So he just knew if you're going to try and go there, Will Magnay's probably going to block it. And if you're going to go that side and bring him into the play, so just stand still. And this is a great opportunity for them now. Up 2, and they get a good look.
Inside 3 minutes remaining. There's the poison chalice at top spot on the ladder. About to get Melbourne for a second time. Well, now free throws to come because they're over the limit.
Yeah, it was good. He, with his experience there, and this defense so aggressive on the ball, drew that foul out of Delvedova, and he goes to the line to shoot a couple of freebies. And when points are hard to come by, he only had 9 in the quarter. provided you can make your free throws. This is a good scoring opportunity and option. Just try and draw fouls.
81% free throw shooter this season, Josh Majette. 5 of 5 in this game. Overall, Tasmania 21 of 24 from the free throw line at 88%. Been impressive. And they lead by 4. 2.5 remaining. Melbourne United on their return to John Cain Arena after 7 weeks on the road. Got some work to do at Golding. Luala Chul, the offensive rebound again, and the putback. Career night for Luala Chul in points and rebounding.
Well, Case is 1 rebound away from 2029. It's been some effort. For the most of them, as you highlighted, Casey, Majette just strolls into a three. There it is, 20-20. 26 points, up to 20 rebounds. 4 on the offensive end. A lot of them has been surrounded by numerous JackJumpers players.
So the margin is 2. Is it about to change? Shea Illy can't connect. This time Magnay fronted Luala Chul, but it came to Peatling, keeping it alive somehow. Dellavedova, but only momentarily. Here's McVeigh rushing hard the other way, trying to make something happen. Took the contact, couldn't get a whistle. 90 seconds to play. Melbourne down 2 with possession.
Floor wipe is going to be getting to work down the other end. Bodies on the floor.
Look at the Tasmania JackJumpers bench in the background. Everyone on their feet. Shot clock to 5. Illy a little out of control. Draws contact. Free throws to come. Scott Roth wanted a foul. Called at the other end on McVeigh.
Scott Roth talking about what happened down the other end of the floor. We can hear the explanation, because he thought that contact was made when the defence was in the no charge circle, which he's arguing should have been a foul.
Shea Illy to the free throw line. He too 71% or 81% this season. 17 of 21, but did miss a free throw earlier and has now missed back-to-back free throws in the game.
To Joe Luala Chul's terrific night. First ever United player to have a 20-20 game.
21 boards, yeah. Most since Colton Iverson had 22 boards for New Zealand last season, round 12.
He's had more than half of them. They only had 40 boards in total, and he's got 21 of them.
Look at those numbers.
So what you're saying is someone should just focus on getting a body on the big fella.
I would have thought that...
Might have been a focus.
About 11 rebounds ago.
Only 4 of them have come at the offensive end, though.
Tassie by a point. With possession. As we move inside the last 60 seconds, shot clock to 5. Adams gets it to McVeigh in the wide open 3.
Huge 3 from McVeigh. Have a look at the excitement. What a win this would be if they're able to get it for the JackJumpers.
Tassie on top, 87-83.
Well, the Ants are marching.
They're stinging as well.
Well, they are. They're just going about their business. Ever so quietly, ever so patiently. I think patience is the big word that's really changed the way they've gone about it. And they're playing within themselves. Kyle McIntosh had his coming out party, and they've had the answers, because as we keep talking about the second half, Melbourne United turned it up a notch. And when it looked like maybe they were going to just run away with it in the third quarter, Tasmania responded. And they've done it again here. Jack McVeigh. Would be a big win to see this one off.
It would indeed. Both teams have already played overtime this season. Of course, Melbourne played overtime last week in Adelaide. Came up short, 83-88. Jack McVeigh has been big for the Tasmania JackJumpers here in this final quarter. He's scored 7 of his 15 in quarter number 4.
And that is a big-time play. We saw him do this a lot for the Adelaide 36ers. He's not afraid of the moment, and that was a big one. And what a transformation has been. Yep, they've got big ones of those as too, Jackie boy, because they needed it when they needed the most. And he's only averaging 5.5 points across his first 9 games, but he's had a couple of back-to-back 17-point games and 15 here, and shooting it at a very, very good clip.
And he's going to take a little break here on the defensive end. So 7 seconds left. Tasmania, this would be an almighty win. And they have weathered every single storm in this second half. Got to lock in for this. This is a huge possession. Come up with a stop here. You're really in the driver's seat.
Melbourne lost their first 2 games of the season, won their next 8, lost last week, and here we are in a tight contest again.
So that's the play they were running all in the second quarter, and Tasmania had no idea how to defend it, because really you've got to lock into Chris Golding. He comes across, doesn't even set the screen, and it was ideal for Delhi to try and put his head down.
Want to challenge that, Andrew Gaze?
Oh, that might be worthy of a challenge. Looking at that replay there, well, there was a lot of ball from the angle we had, and Delhi goes to the free throw line to shoot a couple where he's been good.
Has been good. And what about if you think you can make a full court shot at an NBL game? Head to the NBL website win page to enter for your chance to shoot for $100,000 in the Latrobe Financial Sharp Shot. If you miss, you get a second go from half court and $50K on the line.
Ooh.
And they're just struggling from the free throw line here. First Shea Ilya, now Dellavedova.
He's an 85% free throw shooter, 22 of 26 before these two. And the moment has got to Delhi.
They've kept it alive, though. Now it's stolen back by Majette. In trouble, goes to McVeigh. Melbourne will send Tasmania to the free throw line with a foul, and that's where Jack McVeigh is marching.
They're upset with the foul, but if it wasn't, it was going to be a 4-on-2 down the other end. So it's important couple of free throws. Dellavedova. We always talk about free throw percentages, but they should do a free throw percentages when the game is on the line the last minute and a half.
Well, Melbourne are 3 of 6 from the free throw line in this last quarter. Coming in with 71% stat line, and it's 50 here when it counts. Look at Jack McVeigh, and the fans enjoying it as well.
There's a couple of JackJumpers fans out there. It's a great jersey, that one. But Jack McVeigh's come up big. Here we go. They are really in the driver's seat. Just outstanding performance. They came out, set the tone early, put Melbourne United on the back foot.
McVeigh with 9 of his 17 here in the last quarter. This has been impressive, but they still had some work to do. Golding fires unsuccessfully. McDaniel gets after the rebound. Shea Illy all over Majette, who releases the ball to McIntosh. His magnate. He can slow it down. Adams. He draws a foul on Dellavedova. That's going to be all for Delhi.
This is a huge win. There is no hotter team in the NBL right now than the Tasmanian JackJumpers.
Absolutely.
How's the wins they're getting? We thought, oh, maybe when they get on the road where they haven't yet to register one, I don't believe.
No, haven't won on the road.
And they come in here. Now, people are going to say, oh, there's a little asterisk next to this because no Jack White and Hook Porty. Yes, they are big outs, no doubt about it. But you've got to look at the way in which they've played and the way in which they've gone about it. This is a big-time win. When Melbourne United hit the front, we all thought, oh, here we go. Another moral victory. Did well, the new kids on the block, but they've hung tough.
Well, you say they won on the road. Technically, they won a road game at home against the Breakers. Now, so I'm sorry, but in the books it goes as a road win because on the mainland, I know what you're talking about, but how good. They've weathered every single storm. They've hit big shots when it mattered most. The defense has come up big when it's mattered, and Scott Roth will be pumped.
Let's go to Nerily Meadows.
Just to put this in a bit more context as well, boys, the last Tasmanian team to win in Melbourne was the Hobart Devils, who defeated the Southern Melbourne Saints in the Glass House back in June 1991. A lot of the guys playing today wouldn't have even been born back then.
Good point that you make, Nerily.
92. Well, now, fair. You've got to keep that in context. Well, they have 20-something years without being in the competition, but there it's a good point in that back in the day they weren't necessarily the road warriors, that's for sure. And
this is going to give them so much confidence for their next little stretch.
It is indeed, and it has been impressive. And we mentioned pre-game that when these teams played on New Year's Day, they were right in the mix and led at three-quarter time. Had Melbourne down by 10 at one stage, and this time it looks as though they've been able to close it out. And it's full credit to everyone involved with the JackJumpers franchise.
Larry Kesselman, the owner of the NBL, he's been in the States for quite some time. He's come back here and he's witnessing the birth of his little baby and how it's starting to mature and really starting to walk on its own 2 feet.
And again, just to add to the context, as Neroli was talking about, Tasmania win here. That's 5 wins for them on the season, 5 and 6. When the Phoenix joined in 2020, they won 9 games for the season. So,
well, they started hot that year too, the Phoenix, and kind of petered out.
As you can see, this is full credit to Tasmania, but they still need to find the line. This is Shea Elliott bouncing down low and adding 2. It's a 5-point ball game, 20 seconds to play. Melbourne will be keen to foul. They get away from the trap. McDaniel, easy to finishing touches. Will Magnate.
92 points on the board. Away from home. Melbourne United haven't played at home for so long. The crowd is bumping. And they come away with a massive, massive win.
Highest score of the season for Tasmania.
Well, I believe we heard from Anthony Stewart their last game that Mika Vakona's been a good luck charm when he's been around. They've been winning games, and from all reports he might be close to heading back. If I'm Scott Roth, I'm thinking, Mika, whatever it takes, mate, you need to be here, because good things are happening when the great man is on the sideline.
And we know how tough it is for teams to win here at John Cain Arena. The last 18 games, Melbourne United have lost just once to an interstate team. So it's not just Tassie, it's any team from interstate trying to beat Melbourne on their home deck. Well, it doesn't happen very often, and this is arguably the best win in the NBL this season. Scott Roth and the Tasmania JackJumpers deserve to be celebrating. They scored the highest scoring quarter in the competition this year, and they've come up with the biggest win in the franchise's short history. Tasmania have upended the top of the table Melbourne United and done it by 9 points. It's Tasmania 94, Melbourne 85.
Okay, she said sitting top of the table doesn't sit too well right now. Teams keep getting knocked off, and big win. They started strong and they finished strong, and Scott Roth will be a very, very happy man tonight.
Well, they set it up in that opening quarter with a 36-point outburst. And Scott Roth and Tasmania have now won 4 straight games, 5 of their last 7. And the people who thought they were going to finish bottom, well, there you go. How about that? Beating the best defensive team in the competition and getting to 94 on that as we go courtside.
Well, the player of the game is the footlocker player of the game is going to be Jack McVeigh, and because when they needed it most, when that last quarter you're looking for someone to step up, he did it in spades. And the poise and the way in which he knocked down that 3, when it got back to 1, that 3 ball to put him 4 and give him that little bit of extra breathing space was a huge, huge play by McVeigh. And this has been super impressive, the way in which that they've had their composure. Scott Roth should be incredibly proud of his way in which he's got these guys to play to this level. It's taken him a while, I think, to figure out the roles and how he's going to incorporate the different personalities into his team. And I think he's found the formula.
Tasmania come to the mainland and win for the first time. It was impressive. Trust you've enjoyed it. Stick around, we'll have some analysis for you on the other side of this. Tasmania 94, Melbourne 85. Well, round 10 has been entertaining in the Hungry Jacks NBL. Joe Luala-Chul had a career night with 26 points and 21 boards for the Tasmania JackJumpers. As a collective, have come up with their best win as a franchise and done it in style, not only getting the win, but coming up with the highest scoring quarter we've seen in the NBL this season. 36 points in the first quarter set up what was eventually a 9-point win, 94-85. That's great for everyone concerned, and the poison chalice of being on top of the ladder strikes again. Melbourne, Perth and the Phoenix have all been on top in the last week and lost their next game.
It is. You can't speak more highly of Joe Luala-Chul. That is a banner night. 21 rebounds in any league, in any competition. I don't care where you're playing. That is extraordinary to go with his 26 points. But the story of the game is the Tasmanian JackJumpers. Jack McVeigh with the Foot Locker player of the game with those 17 points, stepping up in those big moments. And Chris Golding battled hard for his 29. We all spoke about what he's coming off, but look at the field goal percentages. The three-point line has proven to be the difference. They shot it better. 12 of 27, 44%. Pretty even in most of the other categories, and on top of that, the turnovers were exactly the same as well, 12 apiece. So well done to the Tasmanian JackJumpers, weathered a significant defensive onslaught and found a way to put points on the board, and they did it by committee. They spread their scoring out, and just a highly impressive performance by the Tasmanian JackJumpers.
9 scorers, they've won 4 in a row. And 5 of their last 7. So the ladder is looking good for the Tasmania JackJumpers.
Well, they really are a team designed to do it by committee. Yes, Majet, yes, Josh Adams are going to be the two guys who try and get everybody in the right place. But guys are chipping in. You've got Will Magnay playing really well. Matt Kenyon's doing well. McIntosh had a breakout game. And look at the JackJumpers there, 6 and 6. They're having some sort of run, and it's going to continue to get tougher as you stay on the road. Can you do this again? And then if you can try and build on it, because it always is tougher on this little road trip. But in the end, so many positives coming out of the Apple Isle.
It is, and when you consider, I think around that 50% is going to be close. May not get you in, but it's going to be close to getting you in. So, hey, we can't rule this team out from being a playoff contender. On the back of beating the defending champions, you've got it, and you're 6 and 6, 4 in a row. Hottest team in the NBL right now. Get around it. Well done, Tasmania.
Well done, Andrew Gaze, and well done to Pete Hawley as well. Trust you've enjoyed our coverage here. Sunday double header. Initially, it was Sydney getting the better of New Zealand, and here Tasmania. Well, the JackJumpers have become the first team in 31 years from Tasmania in the NBL to come to Melbourne and win on the mainland. Congratulations to them. They've got plenty to be proud about, and we will continue the Hungry Jacks NBL season. Stick around, there's a whole lot more coming your way, but it's Tasmania's day.
The way I move so sharp, I go hard for the team, that's how I play my part. I'm solid like the foundation, I'm dedicated to greatness.
This program is brought to you by Hungry Jacks and Bunnings Trade. This program is brought to you by Hungry Jacks and Amy.
Locker room hype, get ready for the drop.
Hello Hello, welcome. You're watching the Amy Crossover. Great to have your company on your Sunday afternoon on what has already been an action-packed afternoon. Of course, the Kings and the JackJumpers getting the chocolates this afternoon in their various encounters. Kane Pittman, Damon Lowry, Matty Garrick alongside me to dissect it as always. Guys, we'll start with the match we've just seen because you have been knocking United all season and now we're seeing the JackJumpers get the better of them and continue this magnificent winning run. You foresaw this coming from a long way out. Yeah,
I wouldn't say knocking Melbourne United. Entering the season, we weren't sure about their offence, but certainly Tassie. I mean, we spoke about it during the week at ESPN. We have a weekly article and we said, what's the goal for Tasmania this season? And we said it's establish a brand, and their brand all season long has been that they are a pain to play against. Teams are really, really struggling to score against the JackJumpers. They haven't had an offence firing on all cylinders yet. They did today, and what the numbers will tell you, if they shoot as well as they did from three today, 43%, they're going to beat some good teams. Yeah, I suppose when we're talking about numbers, you look at them on the stat sheet. Lawal, incredible. You have to look at it twice. We did 26 points, 21 rebounds, and then, of course, Chris Goulding as well with 29. You'd think, looking at those numbers, that would be part of a winning lineup, but it wasn't. No, absolutely, and those guys are amazing. Each game, they're bringing those numbers, and you're right, if there's players bringing those numbers to games, you would think, looking at the stat sheet, that they would get the win, but that just shows that the JackJumpers are on a roll. We did speak earlier in earlier episodes that we knew that they were going to get onto that roll, so I think that they've shown that, and now they're onto their fourth straight win. Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see as well with their first year in the comp too. Mikhail McIntosh, a key figure with that, and I suppose, Damon, you've been pretty happy with what you've seen so far from him this year, but this today, 16 points, it's a bit of a breakout for him. I'm so happy for him. I'm happy for the whole team, but especially Mikhail, because he's been under the pump. He's been getting some critics saying, you know, he might not be the guy, but something has happened on the Apple Isle. Scott Roth, congratulations. You have galvanized this group. Everything is different. This is not the same Tasmania JackJumper team we saw at the start of the season. Joshua Jett is playing like a true floor leader. Everybody is benefiting. They don't have any passengers anymore. So Matt Kenyon, Jack McVeigh, they are all doing a great job. So it's happy to see them succeeding like this. Yeah, absolutely. I suppose on the United side of the equation, first time back at home in 7 weeks, they would have liked to have done a little bit better than they did today. They would have. I think when you talk about Mikhail McIntosh, I think the matchup would have been Jack White, and we know that he was out with the COVID protocols. You mentioned what Joe Luai-Lachul was able to do. Hook Porty was out in the COVID protocols as well. So I think the loss of Jack White, he's a guy that's underrated, what he does, particularly on the glass for this team and on the defensive end of the floor. I think they missed him today. But a couple of losses in a row for United. This NBL season remains unpredictable. Yeah, a roller coaster, isn't it? I suppose that's the thing. Everyone's kind of coming to the fore. Anyone on any given day can get a win. Yeah, I think that's the strength of the league too. You just don't know, obviously with the COVID, but also the talent that's in the league this year too. It could be anyone's day at any time. Yeah, which is great to see. Now, the Kings and the Breakers was the earlier game. The Kings getting the win 84-65. We've got to feel, I suppose, still a little bit sorry for the Breakers. It's been so hard for them for so long, being away from home and all that sort of thing. But the Kings doing what they needed to do, although there was a little bit of trepidation, I suppose, in that third quarter. Well, Damon, we say that the loss to Tasmania was unexpected the other night, but they're the hottest team in the league, so maybe that wasn't a bad loss, and they just played to form today and beat New Zealand. New Zealand were pretty poor, particularly on the defensive end of the ball, but for Sydney, I like the fact that they were mixing it up offensively a little bit, trying to get some other guys involved. DJ Vasiljevic, get him to the rack. Don't get caught up in the isolation ball. Yeah, well, you mentioned DJ, 23 points, player of the match, another standout. But I suppose one of his better games of the season, he has looked a little bit frustrated in recent weeks. Their offense has shifted a little bit. Normally, they like to do a lot of 5-out, spread the floor. You got Jarrell Martin in the corners a lot. This time, they're running a lot of ball screens. That opened up a lot of stuff for everybody else. So with Jarrell going to the paint, it cleared up some space. DJ got some easy shots early, a couple layups, which set him up for later on. So good to see the offense tweaking a little bit. Yeah, I suppose with the Kings, what interests me a little bit, I suppose, was Gazy, I think, in the third quarter when things looked a little bit shaky. He said, you know, that's classic Kings this season. It's good to be classic if you're doing good things, but when it comes in that sort of sense, it's a little bit worrying, isn't it, I suppose, if you are trying to build some kind of momentum?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, that's the nature of sport too. You stay on it for 4 quarters. And I think the Kings did really well to really mix it up. They talked in the timeout that they really wanted to push the ball. They needed to get defence, push the ball and get the ball through Xavier Cook's hands a little bit more. And they came out and did that pretty much straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. Showed plenty of resolve in that fourth quarter. We do need to get to a break. When we return, we're going to talk through the Opal squad because that has been announced. They've got some World Cup qualifiers in Serbia coming up. We'll go through it next.
Here we go. The dunks have been rolling in thick and fast over the season so far, and we hope we get a few more of them in the month of February because it's Dunkuary on behalf of Sportsbet. For every dunk in the month of February, we are donating $500 to Australian prostate cancer. That's $500 for every single dunk. I reckon there's going to be plenty of them if the players know that we're giving this money away to a good cause. And not just charity, there's also going to be a chance in March, Melbourne United take on the Brisbane Bullets, and one lucky fan is going to have the chance to shoot out for whatever we make for charity. We're going to match it, and one fan is going to shoot from half court to try to win that cash all for themselves as well. So let's hope we get plenty of dunks this February. Enjoy and gamble responsibly.
Yeah, thank you, Felix. We always love saying dunks, but always as well when it's for a good cause. Good to see that money donated to prostate cancer. Now, we got to talk through the Opal squad because that has been announced, a 12-player squad for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers, which are in Serbia over the 10th and 13th of February. Maddie, we'll go to you because we'll look at the ins first because there's a lot of interest in that. We've got a couple of debutants, Shyla Heal, one of them, Kayla George, Sammy Whitcomb as well will be captaining, so not too much of a surprise there. But talk us through it. What do you think of these names here?
Look, I think it's a good mix between new with the old experience as well. There's some questions around some positions on the team, given that some players, like the likes of Tess Madgen with her form starting the season, not her best, but that gives opportunity for these young players to come in, like Shyla, Maddie Rocci. It's amazing. And seeing that the Opals have already qualified for the World Cup, it's a great time for these young ones to come in and get that experience and kind of measure themselves up against the other players that they will be coming up against.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I suppose a glaring name that isn't there is Ezzy Magbagor. Of course, she injured herself at training on Wednesday, so really disappointing for her not getting a go.
Yeah, it is. But, Ezzy, her spot's in the team. That she's going to be there when she can, and it is devastating for her. I think it's the best decision for her, again, because the team has already qualified. So hopefully, she'll make a good recovery, but it's going to be a different look without her in there.
Yeah. Is there anyone that isn't on that list aside from Ezzy that you might have thought might have been getting a run, or you're pretty happy with that?
Well, if we're talking about about experience or performance base, you can't go past, the likes of Bet Cole and Annalie Maley with how they're going. Even Abby Bishop, they're having a great season this season. Their stats are doing the talking. So, it's hard to see that. But Sandy's obviously made a decision based on whether that is experience, whether that's the mix between the young players and the veterans, to be able to have that leadership and that, that knowledge as well. But, there are a few, I think, that were kind of hard done by those names. But, look, it's going to be really exciting to see these young ones come through and have a look.
Yeah, and good for those names to still be there to call on if anyone in that 12-player squad was to go down. I suppose it is that concept, though, that with these players going out, the star players that we have to offer here in Australia, the WNBL, it does end up suffering a little bit.
It's interesting because, as you mentioned, they are already qualified for the World Cup. But the Opals spoke with Sandy Brondello a few weeks ago, and she really rued the fact that they didn't have the preparation before the Olympics. So you may say, why are they taking a really strong squad to Serbia here? But part of that is preparation. They want to get some reps in, whether it's a training camp, going over to Serbia and playing some games before hopefully doing something special on home soil.
Yeah, exactly. I suppose good news for your Bendigo Spirit, though. The stop the slide, 6 games on the trot, you managed to arrest that one.
Yeah, we are back, and they were obviously missing 2 of their better players in Steph Talbot and Alana Smith being in the Opals squad or Opals team. But we knew that it was always going to be a fight, but we're going to take any opportunity that we can to get those wins, and we knew that we still had to work hard in their absence. But it's great for the other players in the league too, because those players that are away with the Opals team now have the ability or the opportunity to be able to step up and really, showcase what they have in the WNBL league.
Yeah, exactly. There's a stage for everyone to step on, I suppose, in that vein of things. Now, I suppose Lauren Jackson as well, we need to touch on that because we were on air last night, but we've got a little bit more time to discuss it today. Lauren Jackson returning to the NBL1, that's exciting.
Well, I mean, if we look at her, her record, she's a 3-time WNBA MVP, 4-time Olympian, 5-time WNBL champion and 7-time WNBA All-Star. And I had to look at that because that is just an incredible record. So regardless of her age or where she's playing, she's arguably the best female basketballer in the world.
Yeah.
And at 40 years old, she did come out and say in an article that she was drained from basketball earlier. After 8-year hiatus, she's back and she's in a different headspace. So I'm really excited to have the best female basketball back in Australia. I think it's going to be really exciting for everyone.
Yeah, totally. Good for regional basketball as well. Now, Damon, did you read any of that during the week and think to yourself, oh, I'd like to get back out on the court? You've been keeping fit?
Well, I actually was playing when I was 40. I didn't have to make a comeback. Nah.
What about now?
Nah. I could play if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But good on LJ. Good on her. And good on it's good for basketball. It's good for the NBL1 league. It's good for Aubrey. Hopefully her body holds up. I'm sure she's going to be sore and stiff for a while, but it's just good. She can give so much experience and so much, just know-how and everything that you ever want as a basketballer from a young girl's point of view.
Yeah.
LJ will be able to provide that. So good luck to the Bandits.
Well, she's up in Albury-Wodonga, where I'm guessing on the border it's a pretty strong hold of AFL for kids, Aussie Kick, and then NRL as well, and then netball as well. So having Lauren wandering around in the regions for these kids that are kind of looking to someone to aspire to, it's got to be good for the growth of the game, surely.
They'll be selling some tickets. The Bandits would be my bet. And what about some of the young women that are in the NBL1? They're trying to make a name for themselves, trying to move through potentially WNBL next season. Next thing, they've got to guard LJ in the post.
Good luck.
Have fun with that.
It's not what they signed up for, is it?
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
All right, we do need to get to a break. When we return, we're going to go through the Amy breakdown, the Phoenix and the Wildcats last night. Plenty to talk about. We'll go through it next. Time now for the Amy breakdown as we do look at last night's result between the Phoenix, of course, and the Wildcats, the usual suspects getting involved. We saw Vic Law and then Luke Travers as well doing some great things. We will go through his performance a little bit more in depth shortly, but 101-79 the final score. The Wildcats just continuing on their merry way.
This was a big win, and what a response. We saw last week they struggled against the Sydney Kings. It was a familiar story. They went behind early. I know we're going to get into that, but I think they'll be happy. We know they're going to be on the road for quite a while here, but it was the dynamic duo, Cotton and Luke Travers.
Yeah, a little bit
What's your little name for those two? You got one?
Don't know. Something mullet related. Haven't thought about it yet.
Come on,
the more time we can see that glorious hair, the better. I suppose that is the thing. They're on the road now for an extended period of time. Getting that win in such a convincing way, it's great for the confidence as they do enter this uncertain time.
Oh, absolutely. Well, any time that you get a win, you want to go into every game wanting to win, and that's going to build momentum. So for them to be able to do that, slower start again, as we said, we'll get into that soon. But, you know, they've got amazing players on their team. And I think that's what can draw them out of those slow starts as well. But they're just amazing. And Travers stepping up. Mitch Creek said that what they wanted to do on their scout is to make him shoot the three, and then he came out and did that. So he defied the scout and made it really hard for them to guard him.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you touched there on the slow starts. It is a kind of concern, I guess, if you're looking at the back end of the season and the inconsistency of teams throughout the season. You know, anyone, as I said before, can win on their given day. So if you drop that kind of quarter against a really, really good side, it could cost you if the other team's on their game. But the Phoenix are one of the best teams in the comp, so surely it's not that much of a concern.
Is it?
Nope. No concern whatsoever. And the reason why it's not a concern is it's 4 quarters of basketball. Why is everybody making a big deal about one of them? That's only 25% of the game. Let's not overreact. We got plenty of time. We say if this, if that. Well, the game isn't played on ifs. So they got off to a slow start. Didn't worry them. They just kept chugging along. All of a sudden, Bryce Cotton, you know what he's going to do. Now, they did a good job of taking Vic Law out of the game. Mitch Creek is not a mismatch, just so you know. Don't think you can just go down to the block and post Mitch up. It's not going to happen. But then Luke Travers steps up. Majuk steps up. Everybody else, Michael Frazier, the second, steps up. So they got enough around them to make all kind of good things happen. They don't need... They need more than 1 quarter, so I'm not worried at all.
Yeah, and I suppose that is the consideration that they would take. They'd look at the players around them when they are in that point or when they get on the court and they're like, we're not worried if we have a bit of a slow start because we know that we can claw our way out of this.
If you're going to trail by double digits...
You don't agree?
No, if you're going to trail by double digits, you better to do it in the first quarter. That is a fact. But 5 of the last 6 games they've trailed by double digits at the end of the first quarter. They're 3-2 in those games. We know they're going to be stuck on the road. I went back and looked at their road record over the last 3 seasons. So they were 36-10 at home. We know it's a fortress. They win games there. On the road, they're only 26-20. So they do come back to the pack. They're going to be on the road for a long time. So the league is too even. I don't think that they want to be trailing by double digits. You're right. They've been able to get away with it so far. But you don't want to keep digging yourself a hole. And they've been asking questions. Do you know why we're doing this? They can't figure it out. We'll see if they can flip the switch there. But they've proven they can come back.
Yeah, it certainly takes a lot of energy to dig yourself out of those positions. But as we say, seeming to do it well at the moment. Now, on the other side of things, the Phoenix, they started strongly but faded quickly. And you've got to look at the depletion of their squad and think that might be a factor in that.
Yeah, I think so. I think also with, you know, their big man, him going back to the basket, I don't think is effective. At the start of the game, you saw him turn over twice when he was going back to the basket moves. He's more effective when he's getting those tip-ins, he's getting stops down the other end, but is his effectiveness going to continue to the end of the season?
I suppose, do you agree with that in terms of him Joe Chi playing in the best place that he could be?
He was ordinary, but I still think that he can do some stuff on the block. He can at least draw a double team. If he just gets a couple buckets to go, a couple jump hooks here and there, the defense will adjust. Now, they don't get a pass. for missing. There are no passes in basketball. As soon as you cross the line, that's it. No excuses whatsoever. So they just wasn't good enough. Simple as that. Now, Brandon Ashley, Joe Chi, I would like to see them at some stage work it out. Now, they got time. I'm not going to overreact because I still think the Phoenix could be there in the end. But for right now, they had a bit of a hiccup. We'll see what happens in their next game.
Yeah, well, we talk about time and the shortness of the turnaround. They play tomorrow against the Hawks, who admittedly are a bit out of form as well. So it will be interesting to see how this one plays out.
Well, you might get your wish tomorrow night. And by the way, Joe Chi and Brandon Ashley might be well rested because they were in foul trouble last night, so they should be fine. But the Hawks are a team that play big. We know they've got the Froling brothers they like to put out there together at sometimes DeWalt Reith as well. So maybe that suits the Phoenix to go big. They normally go Mitch Creek at the 4, but it might help with some lineup versatility there.
Yeah. Do we talk about the short turnaround in terms of energy levels? Do we think that that's going to impact them, or is it good to get back on the court straight away after that result?
If it was me and we just came off a loss, I want to play straight away. I mean, so if they come out and say, oh, yeah, but we had a game the other day, sounds like an excuse to me.
You don't like excuses.
They don't exist. Even good reasons are excuses. They don't exist. So I'm expecting Phoenix to bounce back. Without a coach, with a coach, doesn't matter. So it's up to them to how they're going to defend. They had a big lead, don't forget. They blew a lead with what they had. That's what they will be addressing in the film session.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, that time of the week for your Hooyah, although I think you might have had a preliminary one last night, but this is the main event. Luke Travers, we can't go past him this weekend. 24 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, was instrumental last night.
He was. He came off the bench, and Luke Travers, my man, you remind me of a young Glenn Saville, old mate Sav, Hall of Famer, championship winner, 6'6", 6'7", gets in transition, athletic, rebounds. That's what his game is predicated on. He's not a scorer per se, but Luke came out, got involved on the glass. All of a sudden, things start to feel good for him. He recognized he had a mismatch. Even though he's a little bit hesitant, he hit the shot, hits another shot, all of a sudden he's rolling. Now the defense has to adjust. What do we do with Luke Travers? So 24 points, 7 rebounds for the young Western Australian. Good to see. Luke Travers, Hooyah is a battle cry of the Navy SEALs. And Hooyah, young fella, you deserved it.
You going?
Like that.
Oh,
next week.
It's good. More we can see that mullet on TV as well is really good as well. You ever thought about growing the mullet?
No, not at all. My parents actually cut my hair into a mullet when I was younger. I had no choice in the matter. It wasn't fashionable at the time, so I've moved on from that. But Luke Travers, you spoke about the fact that he's shooting the threes, and everyone's going to focus on it and say, well, he has to knock them down. It's more, for me, about the willingness to shoot the three. He was getting the Ben Simmons treatment to start the game last night, but he was willing to shoot it. He's getting up 2.3 three-point attempts per game. And with every young player that's trying to make it to the NBA, you always hear it, well, it depends on the shot. With Luke Travers, it is going to matter because he's not a guy that initiates the offense all the time. He's not a point guard. He is a guy that can play on the wing, handle the ball as a secondary ball handler, rebound, provide defense. So he does have to score. He was averaging 6 points per game coming into this one. That was great to see him, 24 points. They're not going to get 24 points a night, but they do need him to be looking to score.
Our strap there said, how high are his stocks after last night? How high are his stocks after last night?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to change too much after one game. It's not all of a sudden now he's climbing the draft boards. But again, I think it was about the intent from Luke Travers. And the NBA is watching him. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely. In terms of the hair, I'm on the topic. Does that help in terms of athletic ability? We see a lot of athletes with great mullets.
Well, if you've seen Mitch Norton's Instagram today, there's a lovely feature of the mullet with a lovely accompanying song on that. So if you're into the mullet, I think the trends in the moment across all sports, not just basketball. It's okay. Yeah. It's a nice wave in the wind, so I'm for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we go, quick tip tomorrow night. One word.
Look, the Phoenix will bounce back, won't they?
Yes, Phoenix.
I might be on the other end.
Yeah, just to keep it interesting.
Just to keep it interesting, yes.
Yeah. Why not? Well, as we say, Kane Pittman, Damon Larry, Matty Garrick, thanks so much for your time, as always. That is on tomorrow night, of course. The Hawks up against the Phoenix tomorrow night. They get back on the court very quickly. Hopefully they can turn their fortunes around. Thanks for watching.
This program is brought to you by Hungry Jack's and Amy.
Righty, we'll get right underway. Please remain on mute if you are not talking. And if you do have a question, use the raise hand function found at the bottom of your screen. We'll get started right away. Roy, if you'd like to kick us off.
Thanks, Tom. G'day, Coach. It's Roy from the Age in Melbourne. Just want to say, just want to ask, what's the feeling like after winning in Melbourne? It's such a rare thing for interstate teams to do. What's it mean to your side to have held on and got this W?
Well, I think it's a huge growth curve for us. Obviously, we've had some bumps along the way, and we're slowly starting to figure some things out. And the defending champions, and to come in this building and compete like we did, we bent a little bit, but we didn't break, and we held our composure and made the right plays down the end. And I will say that I really respect Dean Vickerman and this group over here and what they've done, and they have a pedigree of winning. And Dean's a hell of a coach, and we're just thankful and lucky and humbled to get out of here with a win.
That fourth quarter, what